2023 governorship and State House of Assembly elections in Lagos State from the polling units to the INEC result viewing portal IREV. Justice Peter Lifo granted the order while delivering judgment in which the appellants sought an order of mandamus to compel INEC to obey the Electoral Act and its guidelines for the conduct of the elections. The judge held that the court possessed the jurisdiction to entertain the suit because it was commenced in accordance with the provisions of the law. The Pan-Yoruba socio-political organization Afenifere has condemned the outcome of the February 25, 2023 presidential election won by the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu. This was contained in a communique issued after the general meeting of the group. The group also faulted the Independent National Electoral Commission on the conduct of the election, saying the commission did not comply with electoral guidelines. The group thereafter called on Nigerians to troop out en masse and participate fully in the governorship and Houses of Assembly elections. Meanwhile, a coalition of Igbo socio-cultural groups and leaders of thought have pledged their support for the incumbent governor of Lagos, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, in his re-election bid. Speaking at the press conference, public affairs analyst Peter Cleaver Okpara said the Igbos are supporting the governor for his performance, competence, cordial relationship with Igbos, and his grand vision for Lagos State, which has greatly favored Igbos in the last 4 years. Emphasizing that Lagos is neither an Igbo state nor a no-man's land, the group dissociated themselves from any claim that contravenes the fact that Lagos is a Yoruba state.
We, as Igbos living in Lagos, made up of traditional rulers, market leaders, market men and women, youths, civil society organizations, students, town unions, and other categories of Igbo population in Lagos state as follows. 1. That we endorse and place support to the incumbent governor of Lagos State, His Excellency Babajide Sanwo-Olu, in his re-election bid. Our support for him is anchored on his performance, competence, cordial relationship with Igbos, and his grand vision for Lagos, which has greatly favored Igbos in the last 4 years. Among all contestants for the tasking office of Lagos State Governor in the coming elections, Sanwo-Olu is the best, tested and capable.
The Igbos in Lagos, we've taken our stand, and the stand remains that it is the governor of Lagos State, and by the name, the Excellency Sanwo-Olu, and that is who all Igbos would vote for.
Knowing fully well what the governor of Lagos State has done, Mr. Sanwo-Olu, Mr. Celebo, has done to make sure that Lagos is the safest place in this country, to make sure that Lagos State is one of the most thriving states in this country, in terms of security, education, infrastructure, health, and otherwise, that we don't have any choice than to vote him back so that he will continue with his good work in the next 4 years.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has asked the Lagos State Commissioner of Police to probe the fire at Akere Auto Parts Market in the Olodi-Apapa area of the state. The inferno, which raged from Tuesday midnight to Wednesday morning, destroyed goods and properties worth millions of naira. Speaking during a visit to the market on Wednesday, Sanwo-Olu said the state government will unravel the cause of the fire. He assured that the emergency response team would remain at the site until the area is cleared of the wreckage, adding that the state will help to rebuild the market. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed his deepest sympathies with the traders and their families. Meanwhile, the Lagos State Police Command has commenced an investigation into suspected arson at the Akere Motor Spare Parts Market. In a statement, the police spokesman in the state, Benjamin Hundeyin, said though the fire was put out around 3 a.m., a 65-year-old security guard lost his life in the incident. Hudayin said the Commissioner of Police in the state, Idowu Owonwa, urged Lagosians to remain calm as the State Criminal Investigation Department has been directed to take over investigation towards unraveling the true circumstances surrounding the attack. From cultural norms to workplace harassment, many women struggle to excel in digital spaces. To this end, women all over the world have called for gender equality as well as improved involvement of women in their ICT sector. With the theme Digital, Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality, the United Nations, in its yearly celebration of International Women's Day, is hopeful that the observance will explore the impact of the digital gender gap on widening economic and social inequalities. More details in this report.
Despite accounting for nearly half of Nigeria's over 200 million population, data from the National Bureau of Statistics indicates that women make up a fifth of people working in the information and communication technology sector. For many women like Abiola Razak, a software tester of many years, the gender gap in Nigeria's ICT sector runs deep. She says while some women have been fortunate to break the glass ceiling, many more are still left out.
In my department, when I joined my company, the company I currently work for, I was the first female engineer they've ever had since the inception of the company, like the first female engineer ever. So that's to tell you, and I know that a lot of companies are the same thing. You check engineering department of a lot of companies, even here in Nigeria, you find out that they are all male-dominated. The need to prove yourself is lower, but as a female, you need to prove yourself. Like, I'm not just coming here to fill up space. I actually have something in my head and something that what's adding to the company. So it's like you literally have to prove yourself. And you know that if I do not perform the way I need to perform, I kind of shut the door for other females to come into the company.
Over the years, advocacy to improve female enrollment in science and mathematics-related fields have seen a growth. However, data by the National Bureau of Statistics shows that women make up only 22% of the total number of engineering and technology university graduates on a yearly basis. This poor number is closely linked to cultural narratives and gender norms.
The implication of this is that there are limited persons available to mentor young women who are trying to foray into this field. And then there are also lack of resources, safe spaces, conducive environments to enhance social equity or to enhance development and resources for young women who are into STEM or the digital field, which is a male-dominated field.
As a solution, advocates say protecting the rights of women and girls in digital spaces remain crucial if the number of women in the ICT sector will see the desired boost.
For more young women to go into these spaces, we must ensure that there is an environment that enables them. Are women asking for handouts? Absolutely not. We're not asking for handouts. We're not asking you to disenfranchise or people to give us opportunity. We're just asking for safe spaces so that we can thrive without fear of violence, without fear of harassment, and without fear of our gender standing as an hindrance to our success and development.
The United Nations, in its yearly celebration of women, is hopeful that this year's theme, Digital, Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality, will recognize and celebrate the women and girls who are championing the advancement of transformative technology and digital education. Folashade Ogurinde, TV360 News.
The Women Advocates Research and Documentation Center has organized a conference to celebrate International Women's Day. Speaking at the conference in Lagos, the Executive Director of Women Advocates Research and Documentation Center, Abiola Akiyode Afolabi, explained that digitalization can help promote gender equality. Akiyode Afolabi added that there's a need for women to be more innovative and make use of the digital space. She also called for intervention on the case of a missing-day-old child, Joseph, who has been missing over 3 months in Lagos State.
Digitalization is very important, and that digitalization can be relevant if we intentionally, use the digital system, to respond to issues, and that it can be much more effective if it is being used to address sexual and gender-based violence. So that case study, it's one of the things we came to discuss, and beyond that, we're also going to look at some of the things that we have found as issues affecting women in Lagos State. Women, we have had the opportunity of engaging with about 700 community leaders and women organizations, and they have talked about the issue of drug abuse in Lagos as one of the issues that made women to be vulnerable to sexual and gender-based violence. They've talked about child abuse as a common occurrence in Lagos State. The fact that female genital mutilation is also very common, in the state. It's also another issue. They talk about illegal migration, as a major issue, a major problem in Lagos State.
We can see how perpetrators of violence, are evolving to use technology to harm people, harm women. And I think it's very important for us, every one of us, we're all stakeholders in this particular particular battle, war against, sexual and gender-based violence. So this theme is very timely. It's very important for us to see how violence against women is morphing with the use of technology, and how we as stakeholders can also be more innovative in how we use technology.
Well, we'll take a break here and return with COVID updates. Stay with us.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
Welcome back. Now, in case you missed any of our news bulletins or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has confirmed that it plans to end mandatory COVID-19 tests for travelers from China joining other countries in eliminating the requirements. The CDC on Wednesday announced that the public health measure was put in place to protect U.S. citizens and communities as they work to both identify the size of the COVID surge in China and gain better insight into the variants that were circulating. The CDC said it will continue to monitor cases in China and around the world and continue the genomic sequencing program at select airports that asks travelers to volunteer to help with early detection of new COVID variants. Vulnerable people in the United Kingdom are to be offered another COVID. Public health bodies have said as the virus continues to circulate at high levels. The announcement comes as a month after the NHS ended the offer of a COVID booster jab to healthy people aged 16 to 49. According to the latest data from the Office for National Statistics, about 1 in 45 people in England, Scotland and Wales had COVID in the week ending February 21, with the figure at 1 in 90 for Northern Ireland. In England, infections levels are rising, including in people aged 70 and above. We'll take another break now and return with more stories in business, the international scene, as well as sports.
Hello? Yeah, I found your wallet in front of a supermarket. Meet me at Apple Junction. Yes, I'll be waiting for you.
Now we find out. Two of us.
Thank you very much, officer. You know, it's surprising that men like you still exist in the police force.
Yes, oh, yes.
This is just a token of my appreciation.
Oh, no, you don't need to do this. We're only doing our job.
Thank you very much. God bless you. Now I know police is really my friend.
Yes.
Friend. Hey. Which came up with this one? I don't understand.
You know your problem. You are greedy. I'm a policeman who is doing his job. All forms of corruption in the force. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
The Nigerian Ports Authority has strengthened security at the Tinkan Island port with the erection of a concrete fence and the installation of an automated access control gate. The managing director of the NPA, Mohammed Bello Koko, revealed this during a tour of the Tinkan port to ascertain the level of execution of the contract awarded. He said that the fence was constructed to ensure that only people that should be in the port had access. He added that by reducing the number of persons and restricting entry into the port, pilfering, theft, thugs and also miscreants will be reduced into the port. African airlines have recorded a 124% growth in passenger traffic in the past year. Total January 2023 domestic traffic was at 97.4% of the January 2019 level. According to the International Air Transport Association, which represents international airlines globally, the recovery in air travel demand was continuing in 2023 based on January traffic results. The Switzerland-based company said the growth was aided by the lifting of the zero-COVID policy in China. The airline body added that globally, traffic is now at 84.2% of January 2019 levels, with domestic traffic for January 2023 rising up to 32.7% compared to the prior year. And oil prices were in a holding pattern on Thursday as a larger than expected draw in U.S. crude stocks and hopes for China demand contended with worries that more aggressive U.S. interest rate rises would slow economic growth and dent oil consumption. Brent crude futures edged up by 1 cent to $82 per barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were flat at $76 a barrel. Both benchmarks declined between 4 and 5% over the previous 2 days, while China's crude oil imports fell 1.3% in the first 2 months of 2023 from a year earlier. Analysts pointed to accelerating imports in February as a sign that fuel demand was rebounding after Beijing scrapped COVID-19 controls. Nearly 10 years after talks began on protecting international water bodies, the United Nations members have agreed to place 30% of the world's oceans into protected areas, put more money into marine conservation, and cover access to and use of marine genetic resources. The president of the conference, Rena Lee, said the delegates of the Intergovernmental Conference on Marine Biodiversity of Areas Beyond National Jurisdiction reached the historic agreement after 38 hours of negotiation. On his part, the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres described the action as a victory for multilateralism and for global efforts to counter the destructive trends facing ocean health now and for generations to come. In sports, despite missing out on the FIBA World Cup, Nigeria's men's basketball team, the Tigers, retained their position as the #1 team on the continent and 19th in the world in the latest FIBA World Rankings. At the recently concluded window of the African qualifiers for the World Cup in Luanda, the Tigers won 2 games, defeating Guinea and Ivory Coast before losing the final game to Angola to lose the qualifying position to Cape Verde. According to the latest ranking published on FIBA website, the Tigers are the top playing basketball country in Africa and 19th in the world with 461.4 points. Tunisia are placed second on the continent and 21 in the world with 448.6 points, while Senegal are ranked third in Africa but placed 37th in the world. Well, that's all on the newsroom at this time. Many thanks for watching. I'm Simisola Atikon. Bye for now.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what in this part of the world.
The new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
Kwangu haki ya ardhi ina muhimu sana kuliko vitu vyote, kwa sababu haki ya ardhi, upatikanaji na mahitaji yote ya maisha yangu ipo ndani ya ardhi. Kitu moja ambao inanifurahisha mimi katika maisha yangu yote ni utunzaji wa misitu. Siku yangu ya kawaida mimi inapokucha asubuhi ninakwenda kuwinda. Huku ninaweza kukosa kuwinda, nalina asali, na huku nakula matunda, na huku naweza kufunga mbuyu kuwaletea familia kwa wakati moja. Mabadiliko kwa hewa ya ukaa ni mkubwa sana kwangu Mwazabe, kwa sababu zamani nilikuwa sijui kuweza kulinda poli, lakini sasa hivi mabadiliko imeleta hewa ya ukaa, tunajua kulinda poli, tunaenda doria na kuangalia ukataji wa miti na kuangalia uharibifu wa poli. Mimi ninatamani baada ya uzazi yangu kupita watoto watabaki. Mimi natamani kwanza kabisa, kabla sisi hatujapita, tunataka tutunze hii poli ili digidigi isipotee na hata wanyama wengine wasipotee, ili watoto wangu mimi ninapita waje waikute kama historia ya Hazabe katika poli lao.
From Tanzania, the Yaba Valley Project.
Danfo is the most recognizable cultural icon or artifact as it is in Lagos currently. You know, when you look at every city in the world, most cities have like a particular structure or object or something you can use to represent or identify them. Lagos has quite a number of artifacts, but I think and I believe Danfo is like an outstanding cultural artifact that once you put it, it symbolizes Lagos, and everybody who knows Lagos can easily recognize Lagos with the Danfo. So I feel it's the best thing to do by using Danfo to create my art, or using it as my major means of telling my artistic stories. Portraits of public figures in Lagos, it's a collection that is talking about people who play important role in our day-to-day lives in Lagos, just like the truck pusher, like the market woman, the Okada man, the keke rider, and even the conductors and the agberos. They are making Lagos going and keep Lagos moving. So I believe when we talk about public figures, some people might want to think about some particular people who really are not serving the public. So I believe these people have been playing important roles, and they've been serving people over the years. Have you ever imagined like a particular driver who runs like 5 trips in a day, and he runs the road for 1 week? How many passengers is he serving? How many people is the conductor attending to? They are actually public figures, but because we don't really see them as important enough, that is why we don't honor them enough like the way we honor some other people who really don't serve us, and we consider them public figures. But I also believe that these guys are public figures, and they should be given some recognition and should get some reward for the work they have put into our culture today. So that's why we have them as the major means of my characters for the exhibition. I want to believe minimalism is a reflection of my personality, because every artist sort of is representing himself or herself, and it's the way you behave, the way you think, the way you do things, and the way you love things. That's how you will create your own art. So your artwork is just like a reflection of your personality. So it's just an expression or an extension of you. So when you see minimalism, it is me you're seeing, and it is the way I think and the way I behave that is reflecting in my work. And another thing I like about these works is that it's very easy for you to get people interested in the message, because there is nothing else distracting them from the message. So minimalism takes people straight to the point. So once they see just one line, there must be something about it, and that is all we are trying to decode. And it makes more sense instead of clouding a painting or a drawing or an artwork with so many other unnecessary subject matter. The exhibition has gone global already, because first it's done in Alliance Francaise de Lagos, and Alliance Francaise in other countries like in Accra, in Nairobi, in so many other countries. They have been seeing them also liking the work, and people from all around the world, even as far as America, Europe, have seen the show. So first, the show has gone global with the collaboration I had with Alliance Francaise that has puts this work to limelight, and I believe after this very exhibition, many other people and galleries would want something like this to run in their space. So that is already in the making. A lot of conversations are ongoing, and I am trusting that it's going to be great in the next outing, because it's going to be another big platform just like the one we have here. For these works in this particular exhibition, they are all paintings, and the paintings were done with acrylic on canvas. And so basically it's acrylic on canvas I used for this work. Although I work with so many other materials, like I do digital creation sometimes and I print on canvas as well, then I also do installation. So I quite have multiple forms of art, but for this exhibition, acrylic on canvas. Yeah, there are a lot of VIP Danfo buses on the streets. If you would have noticed, like sometimes they write VIP. I have been into vehicles with VIP. I even took selfie right inside it because I was in a VIP Danfo. So automatically, I want to believe it's a VIP driver. The passengers are also very important people. But conductor basically is a very important person in the Danfo bus because it's more like the accountant, it's more like the HR person, is still the PR person. So I think I'm just trying to put some respect or trying to give some honor to the functions or the duties of a conductor who administrates the Danfo bus. So that is why I created the VIP conductor after creating the fine boy conductor. Yeah, the fine boy conductor should just probably refer to like a fashionista, but in this case, it's just trying to show a little bit importance that is needed to be accorded to the conductor. And I have never included blue on a painting that has to do with Gubernatorial conductor before. And blue, for me, it's a bit royal. And putting it on this painting is just because I'm trying to honor a few conductors that I would have entered their buses and appreciated the way they were managing the transport bus. Some of them are very good entertainers as well. So that's why I have a VIP conductor here. This is Market Woman. My mom is actually the Market Woman, and I was born around that period when she used to be actively selling in the market. She used to sell at Boundary Market because we were living at Ajegunle then. So right in this painting, I depicted myself and her, like I'm the one at her back, and she's carrying me like she would carry me to everywhere when I was young as a child. And I tried creating a design of a wrapper with the tomatoes and pepper she used to sell. So that's why you have the circles of orange, yellowish, reddish kind of colors, which shows pepper tomatoes. And right here I depicted like the yellow and black nylon that they use in selling in the market. Although it could also serve like a Danfo because she probably would be entering Danfo too at that point in time. So I just try to create a story that will show the everyday experience the regular market woman goes through. They leave the house very early in the morning, sometimes around 4, 5, even with babies like me when I was small. And whatever the weather was, the children experienced it with their parents. So that's my life, and that's what the painting is about. Yeah, right at my left is Fine Boy Conductor. It's one of my favorite pieces from year 2020, and I think it's quite a very popular and loved piece because I knew I used it to apply for Artex review back then, and I was selected for it because I think the work speaks volume. And you know, like I said earlier about the other piece who was a conductor, I was talking about the importance of conductor in the Lagos traffic system, and I have met a fine boy conductor before. I can remember one particular guy that I entered his bus from mile 2 to Oshodi. He sounded like a graduate because his English was very polished and he looked quite neat and good, and I just felt like yeah, their conductors were also fine boy, and probably situations around us in Lagos or life, or since some of us don't have opportunities to get what we want, some people might just choose to do that in the meantime. So it's just a thing of recognizing those people who want to genuinely make their life or make ends meet for themselves. So you could find some fine boy conductor, and I think they deserve some honor and some respect as well. That is why I did a particular piece just to honor the fine boy conductor. I have another of my beautiful pieces, and it's the Danfo driver. And I think Danfo, to me, suggests speed a lot of time. And capturing speed in art is not really easy because the art is static and it's still, it's just there. But I think I tried showing the speed in the body of the driver himself by showing some kind of cut lines which you could also connect to the way they design Danfo buses. But another thing I have known about the Danfo drivers is that because of the hardship of the road and the people they are dealing with, they have to have a different kind of high, and their eyes are red because they have to deliver. So I have just tried capturing all these so plenty stories and events that happen on the daily basis in the Danfo driver's life in this small painting. And I also try showing the Danfo bus with the yellow colors and the black line down here. So basically, if you want me to begin to explain color again, I could tell you that, like, you know, they have some kind of hopes and beliefs and a future for their business or for whatever they're doing. So like you could see, I have a different color that is not common in the Danfo scheme, just to show that aspiration or desire for something more beautiful that could come out of all these experiences. I knew I also met a driver who, not a Danfo driver actually, but a driver who was telling me that he's believing that someday he's going to carry somebody in his vehicle and they will be able to discuss about things in life and the person could change his life. So he has very, very positive expectation about the work he's doing. Irrespective of being there, he believes there's something better for him out there. But he believes the person who is going to make the difference could be one of the passengers that will patronize him. So I just think I would encourage Danfo drivers to keep the hopes alive if they have hope. For those who are losing hope, I'm encouraging you to have hope, because there is hope. And once we keep the hope alive, the difference will be made in our lives. I have my Danfo chief right here beside me, and I know in every kingdom they kind of have like royalties or chiefs or kings or people that they hold to some respect or some regard. And in the Danfo sector, we have people that we actually look at and we give some regard to, like from the park, from the streets and all of that. And somehow they don't get any chieftaincy title for their position, but people respect them because of the personality they have right in the park or on the street. So I just felt that there was a need to create a painting that could honor like those people who have really put themselves in position to control and place some sort of order in the Danfo system. So in the painting, I tried creating like a bead made with black and yellow, just to use the Danfo color for the chief. So this is the chief. I hopefully would also want to be one of the Danfo chiefs in the future, because it's going to make my work make more sense to people, because I'm also trying to make a difference with Danfo. So that is why I created Danfo chief. For those of us who patronize Danfo buses, we have met different people inside the bus, and we know one of those popular characters I have personally encountered are those fashionistas or those slave mama, as we call them, and you may never believe some of them enter Danfo buses because of the way they carry themselves. They could enter a Danfo bus to a journey, like they started the journey with a Danfo bus, but they end up entering maybe like a ride or a drop later, and they don't want to create the impression or give anybody the impression that they patronize Danfo. And I think what I want to do is to get us to talk about that story, about those kind of people. And so that is why I did the yellow CC, and the yellow just resonates with the color of the Danfo. So she's the Danfo CC, and she's more or less like every other passenger, but she wouldn't want to be associated with Danfo. But I am saying, babe, I saw you in the Danfo bus. The next piece right here is Johnny Just Come. That's the full word. In Lagos, all of us know in our JJC with the column. So when we say JJC, we're actually referring to a newcomer, somebody who is new to Lagos. And once somebody is new to Lagos, the tendency that the person is new will reflect in the way the person behaves and the way the person does things. And you know, just to make it interesting for people who are new in Lagos to know that there's something like JJC, I have created a painting that talks about such kind of people, or that will make people to reflect about their traveling to Lagos. If they are coming for the first time, they just need to get people who will give them the right information, so they would have a very wonderful experience in Lagos. I tried making it a little bit symbolic by, like the body of the person shows more like a direction. So this person is calling out for direction, and the person has the chances of getting the right direction, which was symbolized with the blue line, or getting the wrong direction, which are symbolized with the red line. So, and for this very JJC, or for every other JJC who probably were not fortunate enough to meet the right person, their eyes could turn red after a very funny experience. So that's why the figure here has a red eyes. So, and I think anybody who is new to Lagos and hears about this work would be conscious of the fact that they're in a new environment. It's not only Lagos, wherever you go to, you will also become a JJC, not until you get used to the place and the people and what they do. So, but it's a good thing to experience new things, to travel around, and that's the more reason why I created this particular piece called JJC. The prevalence of Okada in Lagos especially, I think, is as a result of the constant traffic we experience. Even on my way here, I faced traffic for almost half of the time that it would have taken me to get to the gallery space, and I think it's really a concern for so many of us, because we want to move and people would rather want to jump on bikes just to save time. I live around mile 2 axis, so I can tell people much more about Okada than so many other people who live in some other areas in Lagos, because the traffic there is just crazy most of the time. And because of that, people take Okada. I found myself in traffic for hours, but just because I am not the Okada person, I would rather sit in the traffic. But I think it's just important to say something about the Okada culture, and I could say some of them are very, very reckless, and that's the more reason why I don't recommend it, but I have taken it at so many occasions too. So I just tried capturing the Okada man, because I believe the Okada man is a significant figure in contemporary Lagos culture. The concern about culture both for Nigeria and for everywhere in the world, is that it metamorphoses over time. There are things that were used when I was a kid that I'm no longer seeing them used by anybody anymore. And that is how the government have tried to see how they could face off Okada, even if it is still there. But I just believe that every aspect of our experience or our Lagos today should be documented, and all the characters should have a place on my canvases. So that's why I created this Okada Man. But this piece is interesting because it depicts somebody who has become what he's doing. Like, you become your profession. You are inseparable from your profession. You cannot be understood in isolation. You could see the man holding the bike, and you could see the circles down there. So, but his body has become part of the machine that keeps the Okada going. So you can't separate the Okada from the man. And everybody in Lagos knows that we call them Okada Man. So we have even used the language, that's the linguistic connection of the word for that person to include his profession. So calling him Okada Man is like tying Okada to his personality, and that's like a professional name for such profession, even if it is not considered like a real profession. But I just think it makes sense when you create pieces that really speak volume. It's more or less like what I did in my truck pusher painting. I know you can't cut the word truck away from the pusher, so it goes together, and the truck pusher is one person, but in the painting too, the truck and the person, they are one. So it's just that kind of interesting thing I think I've been able to create through this particular piece right here before us. I have Area Mama right beside me, and you know, she's like a very, very popular character in the streets most times, because there are always women like that in very many societies or on the streets, where some people are very much recognized because of their influence in terms of their personality, and in most cases like in Lagos setting, when it has to do with the Danfo guys and all those kind of things, they are very colorful people. They wear like different colors, like very fashionista. You see several piercing, you see colored hairs, and you know, all of that. So I'm just trying to depict that flashiness of an area mama in this very painting. So that is why you see the colors very vibrant and coming out. I wouldn't know why ladies like blue, but I tried borrowing blue and pink, each color, just to show that love and connection for for blue and pink. So I want to believe you will love it when you see it in person.
I think it's an interesting tribute to all the people working on the street of Lagos, because we all know that Lagos is very, crowded and busy, and the hustle and the bustle of Lagos. But the way Mr. Danfo represented is a very minimalist way, with just few lines. It looks like it's not much work, but it is actually. And I think the fact that he called this public figures of Lagos is interesting, because when you look at it, you might think it's just few lines, or it's a robot, or you're not very sure, and then you understand that it's the KK driver, it's the Okada man, and the way he represented it is quite intriguing, because it doesn't look like that in real life, so it's a nice transcription.
I've known the artist for more than 12 years now, and he has passed through my studio a couple of times. I knew him when he was in school. He was always bringing his ideas, and I saw him as a young man who is full of ideas and is always itching to express himself. So when he came up with the idea of Danfo, in fact, what I told myself was that I'll come and sit at the show, and I'm here. What I've seen today is the use of lines, shapes, what we call geometry, to achieve an effect of what we also call minimalism, meaning that you can use a line to represent a human being. That means you have minimalized that particular figure. So that is what he has employed to express himself, and it has come out in a very beautiful way, because when you go through the work, you will see stories rendered in a very simple way that is not complicated, and that's also very easy for anybody, any Dikan to understand. That is the essence of what he has done. I think I need to commend him, because many artists will not do this part.
I came to find a very interesting show here by Linus. It's a young man, a young artist whose work is really interesting because it's historical. It's work that dealt with reality. You know, it's work that concerns itself with about issue-based matter that we find around in Lagos. If you come to look at the works, you find the yellow buses, which is quite significant into almost all the pieces he has done. You find the Okada rider, you find the keke napeps, and you find the father is trying to call our attention to see the kind of people that commute us from one place to another. We all board some of these means of transportation, like the keke napep, the buses, the Danfo. And some of these drivers are sometimes very high on drugs, and we kind of risk our life allowing them to drive us, even roughly on the road. And if you try to talk to them, they complain. For you to find an artist quite interested in these details is something that piqued my interest in coming to the show to see what the artists have done. And sincerely speaking, it's awesome what I'm seeing on ground. He's not interested really about just decorative art. These are works that dealt with issues that concerns the average Lagosians. Lagos is quite home for almost all sorts of people. You find almost all the tribes of Nigeria in large quantity in Lagos, and the artist have taken his time to look at what is very common to almost all the public living in Lagos. For me, it's a very interesting show, especially for the fact that these are issue-based ideas.
Hello, it's another Sports Business Time, and thank you for joining me again. My name is Jide Olaniran. Aside from giving you sports business news today, we will also look at the business of infrastructure sports management model. And that is what we'll be looking at after this time out. Don't go away. Welcome back. As potential buyers for Manchester United continue to line up, a certain eccentric billionaire is reportedly kicking the tires on the historic European soccer club. Elon Musk is believed to be monitoring the situation closely and weighing putting in a bid for the club. A British tabloid says that several interested parties have signed confidentiality agreement to see Manchester United's data room, including several from Saudi Arabia, which could be eyeing Musk as a figurehead for a bid. With a net worth of $187.5 billion US, Musk certainly has the capital to make a purchase and also has some personal motivation. In August, Musk joked on Twitter that he was buying Manchester United, later deleting the tweet, but clarifying that if he were to buy a team, it would be United, his favorite club as a kid. Club owners, the Glazers family, are reportedly seeking around $7.3 billion US for a full takeover, but have expressed interest in only a partial sale. It is not just Elon. The competition to be the next owner of Manchester United is getting stiff. Bloomberg recently confirmed that a consortium of Qatari investors are set to make an offer for the club with assistance from the Qatar Investment Authority. The country's sovereign wealth fund, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, the ruling emir of Qatar, reportedly supports the club. British billionaire Sir Jim Ratcliffe is also still in the running. The financial gap between the Premier League and the rest of Europe's top division is too big, says AC Milan head coach Stefano Pioli. Premier League clubs spent £815 million during the January transfer window, nearly 4 times the combined £225 million spent in Spain, Italy, Germany and France. The Premier League's financial dominance in Europe increased to the highest proportion ever reported in January. Spending by English top-flight clubs accounted for 79% of the total across Europe's Big 5 football leagues, where January expenditure fell by 35% from 2022. Chelsea spent more in January, around £288 million, than the combined total of all clubs in La Liga, Serie A, Bundesliga and Ligue 1. And finally, Ile-de-France President Valérie Pécresse has demanded more than €200 million from the French government to enhance transport services for the Paris 2024 Olympics. Pécresse, who is head of the Ile-de-France Mobile, has reportedly issued a letter to France's Transport Minister Clément Beaune in a bid to secure the funding for the transport improvements. According to Le Parisien, Pécresse called on the French government to respect the commitments and guarantee IDFM resources to finance both the operation of new metro and Rousseau Express Regional lines and transportation for the 2024 Olympic and Paralympic Games. The IDFM is the authority that controls and coordinates the different transport companies operating in the Paris area public transport network. And that's the news. We're going to break, and when we return, it will be time to discuss about sports infrastructure management model in the Dugout segment. Don't go away. Welcome back. Yes, on the show, yes, this Dugout segment will definitely focus on sports management facility, the model that will truly work for us here in Nigeria. And no other person to join me than an expert who's been working on some of this model. He's got some academic work as well as day-to-day business that he does as far as this area is concerned, talking about sports infrastructure management. Adedami Adedotun joins me. Adedami Adedotun, by the way, is the head of sports Temple Company. Adedami, thanks for joining me again today.
It's always a pleasure to be on your show, Jide. Thanks for having me once again.
Yes, once again, it's great to be with you. Adedami is our in-house expert when we talk sports business on the show. Adedami, let's start by looking at just of recent. The Kaduna State, a subnational state in Nigeria, had the opportunity of having the transfer, a federal sports facility transferred to their domain for management. That is the federal government that is supposed to own the Ahmadu Bello Stadium Sports Complex had to transfer the management of that complex to a state, Kaduna State. And this will be our focus today. And I want to ask you, is the government managing sports facility models still practicable in this age?
So thank you very much, Dide, for the question. And I think that the current events, which you mentioned, sort of answers that question, right? So if you look at government from two levels, there's the federal government and there's the subnationals, which are the state government, which is the state government. At the federal level, what the ministry is doing is to hand over certain federal infrastructure to subnationals, and which is because, the federal government has realized that it is not, federal government managing those facilities is not sustainable anymore for those facilities. So to answer your question, at the federal level, federal government, sustaining those infrastructure is not a sustainable model anymore. But before we even, if you digress a bit, if you look at infrastructure as a whole, the problem we have in infrastructure with Nigeria is not just the management of it, but the sufficiency of infrastructure. We don't have enough infrastructure for the different purposes for infrastructure, for mass participation at the community level, for professional sport at the state level, and also for major events at the federal level. So for government alone taking that responsibility of managing sport facilities, it is not sustainable anymore.
All right. So what can be done to make national assets like this stadium now, the stadiums that we have all around Nigeria, even though some are saying we still have less of what is required to cater to 200 million people. So what can we do to make sure that all these assets become productive?
So yes, we don't have enough, because we did an analysis while we were working on the national sports industry policy. And if you look at developed countries like in the US, the UK, the population to stadium ratio, or the stadium to population ratio is about 1 to say 300,000, 500,000. For Nigeria, it is 1 to 5 million, right, at the federal level. So we don't have enough. For us to bridge that gap, we need over 200. So it is definitely not enough. And government in itself cannot bear that burden anymore. So back to your question, what can we do? First is to find, collaborate with private sector to manage those assets, right? And because if you also go back to infrastructure development, there are key things that you think about or you consider when you develop an infrastructure. One is the legacy for those infrastructures, because in Nigeria, most of our infrastructure has been built because we wanted to host a national tournament or a continental tournament, the Abuja Stadium when it was built, the National Stadium in Lagos when it was built. But what you do is, post-event, there has to be a post-event legacy to ensure that, look, those facilities are still fit for purpose after the event. And one of the ways you could do that is to ensure that there's a professional team within the environment to take on those infrastructure. If you see, if you look back to the recently concluded World Cup in Qatar, right from the onset, they've developed legacy for those assets. There are some of them with the container model stadium, that the legacy is to dismantle them and transfer those carcass to other football clubs. Some have been handed over to professional clubs. So what we don't do well in Nigeria is have a post-event legacy for our facilities. So going forward, a way to properly, sustainably manage those assets is to make them fit for purpose. You understand? What can be done in those facilities that will attract footfall in those facilities? Lagos, for example, there's the National Stadium in Lagos has, I think, over 60,000 capacity. The question is, beyond just hosting Super Eagles, what else can be done in the stadium? At the moment, there's no Lagos-based football club in the MPFL, which is a professional football league. Which are some of the issues, you understand, for a stadium of that size? So the question we need to ask ourselves is if those infrastructure are still fit for purpose, how to make them fit for purpose, and how to collaborate with facility managers, private sector organizations, so that we build a collaboration, and we build a relationship that ensures that those assets are properly managed and we can deliver revenue.
Okay. All right. All right. So the next question. How do we introduce a business-like model into our sports infrastructure management?
Okay, so that's really simple, right? Again, it goes back to the purpose for which those facilities were built in the first place, right? Because what you see as a global standard is that sporting infrastructure are not used solely for sporting events anymore. There is a multi-use purpose for sports infrastructure now. They are evolving into becoming entertainment centers too. So there's a sports and district entertainment model being used, adopted globally. So we need to start looking at those kind of models in Nigeria too. Second is to to give incentives for private sector participation in infrastructure development. Because once you have that, private sector investment means that there's an expected return on investment, which means that they will put in proper processes, proper models in place to ensure that those facilities are used and they generate income for the facility owners. So how to create the model that will work? First is private sector involvement to manage the existing facilities and to also invest in new facilities. Second is to adopt a multi-use strategy to ensure that beyond just sporting events, we also use those sporting facilities for entertainment events. You understand? And it's also important as a strategy to identify the key target for those facilities. Because again, the facility that you build for a major event is not the facility that will be used for regular training or the facility that will drive mass participation. So in developing strategies that will make sure that we have a sustainable model of managing those infrastructure, we have to consider all of those things to make it fit for purpose, to make it multi-use, to bring in private sector in terms of managing those facilities, and also to invest in them.
Yeah. It's not a coincidence that Nigeria has national sport industry policy, and also Kaduna that has the honor of having the national assets like the stadium transferred to it. Also is planning to put together a sports industry policy of sorts. And do you think that also the good policy like this can also jumpstart, the reviving of the interest of, spinning around or turning around the fortunes of some of these facilities that we have? Especially, that we have some of them. You made mention of the National Stadium. That is one. It's been there. There are a lot of things that the Sport Ministry is thinking of doing with it. Don't forget that there is also one, Liberty in Ibadan. Do you think a sports policy can stimulate the necessary interest or drive the necessary model that would drive the interest that would generate the fortunes?
Absolutely. So I'm glad that you mentioned Kaduna State and its policy. What happened last week was that there was a stakeholder engagement session. There was a policy dialogue because Kaduna State is the first state that would domesticate the national sports industry policy. And what happened during the policy dialogue was to break down the policy into areas. And one of the areas is facility and infrastructure development, right? And the conversations around facility and infrastructure development is how to build fit for purpose infrastructure, right? Which is what I mentioned earlier, that look, how do we ensure that the facility we build within the state or the existing facilities within the state are fit for purpose. Some of the things also discussed is how you can use sports facility to trigger urban development, right? And how you can also use facility for athlete development and elite athlete development. So the importance of policy is so that we discuss those peculiarity at the subnational level. You understand? And that's what's currently happening in Kaduna. And it's not a coincidence that this is happening shortly after the Ahmadu Bello Stadium was handed over. The management of the facility was handed over to the state. So what the policy would do is guide the conversation around how to ensure that there's sustainable management of that asset and also the state's owned assets, including the Muritala Mohammed Square in Kaduna and all other state-owned assets. But like I said, there has to be conversations around what infrastructure we actually do need as a country, you understand, and at all levels, either for mass participation, for athletes development, because that's also one critical area that sports infrastructure also includes performance centers, training centers for athletes. So there has to be a conversation around the type of facility that we need at the community level for mass participation, for elite athlete development, for professional sports, and for major events. Once we have that conversation, we're able to identify what infrastructure will be used for what kind of design should it be, how does it affect the environment, how would they affect urban planning and development. Those are the conversations that are necessary for infrastructure development. And once we identify all of these things, it also comes down to look, how do we fund them, how do we finance them, how do we incentivize private sector to be a part of, to drive investments into those facilities? Because at the end of the day, the global standard is that look, it takes private sector investment to sustainably manage those assets. And once we are able to answer all of these questions, we develop a sustainable model. And these are the conversations that are happening as part of the policy development. So for Kaduna to take the initiative to becoming the first state to domesticate national sports industry, it also means that they are thinking in terms of a sustainable model to manage the infrastructure, the one they just got that was just handed over to them by the federal ministry, and also the ones that they have, and the ones that they will need for the future, because again, what they have at the moment is not enough to sustain, it's not enough to drive participation or to even drive athletes development or professional sports. So the policy is critical to all of this. It's usually a good starting point, because then we are able to identify all the key parts of infrastructure development and how to sustainably fund and finance it.
So finally, before I let you go, I know you're a basketball enthusiast. The Basketball Africa League was recently launched in Lagos, and very soon there will be pressure on Nigeria. There is an arena in Dakar. Cairo, we also have a bit of the pie, a piece of the pie rather, and also Rwanda already had it and they will still have it again. Isn't it time Nigeria also look at building an arena of such that will accommodate or that will bring BAL to Nigeria, and from there we can jumpstart another frenzy, basketball frenzy?
Yes, absolutely. It is time. And if you look at the Basketball Africa League, the BAL, I would like to look at it from two different perspectives, right? One is the Nigerian league itself, and the second is Basketball Africa League. Because if you're aware, it is whoever emerges as the champion of the Nigerian league that represents Nigeria at the Basketball Africa League. So first is, how do we put our house in order and drive investments into infrastructure? I'll give you an example. In the last, I think, 2 editions that Nigeria has participated in the BAL, the first club to represent Nigeria is a Port Harcourt-based club, Rivers Hoopers. Now, Kwara Falcons will represent Nigeria. There is a need to have proper facilities in those cities, Ilorin and Port Harcourt. And these are cities that you have enough middle class for you to have a proper basketball fan base. You understand? So beyond just building facility to host the BAL, which is good, there's also need to have facilities so that we have a proper professional league. Because if you look at the professional league, there are clubs in Lagos, Lagos Islanders, Hoops and Reed. There are clubs there's a club in Ibadan, Oluyole Warriors, there's one in Kwara, there's one in Delta, there's one in Port Harcourt, there's one in Abuja, there's one in Kano, there's Kaduna Stars. So we have professional clubs across the country. So first point is, how do we ensure that these professional clubs have infrastructure to first promote and drive professionalism in basketball and to deliver an entertainment product? Once that is sorted, then the next level is, look, how do we ensure that we have facilities that can host the BAL? And you won't be surprised that if we get the first point, the first leg right, which is ensuring that we drive investments into facility ownership at the professional club level, we would have invested in facilities that can actually host the BAL. Because if you have a 5,000 capacity stage arena in Ilorin or in Lagos or in Port Harcourt, then it means that you can actually bid to host the BAL too. So beyond just building facility for a national to host the BAL, we should also consider the importance of having facilities that can drive the development of the professional league in Nigeria. So yes, and I'm also aware that there's a Lagos Arena project going on in Lagos, and it will be a world-class indoor arena. So these things will happen very soon. But as regards the BAL, I completely agree that it is time we host, and I think that a more sustainable strategy is to drive investments into infrastructure for the professional clubs. In doing that, we would have solved the problem of hosting the BAL.
Adidami Adedotun is the head of sports Temple Company and in-house experts on Sport Exchange. Thank you very much for talking to us today on the show.
It's a pleasure, Jude. I enjoy talking sports with you. Thank you very much.
All right. That was Adidami Adedotun talking to us about sports facility management model, the kind of model that can work for Nigeria. Okay. We'll go on a break, and when I return, it will be time to sign off. Back. Before we go on the show, let me leave you with this. Did you know that the Super Bowl 57, which saw Kansas City Chiefs winning the day over Philadelphia Eagles, might have come and gone, but it brought us some impressive numbers from the sports book, which is about how people staked money on the game. With 50 million Americans projected to bet $16 billion on the Super Bowl across legal and extra-legal channels. It's no surprise that sportsbooks were very active on the big day. GeoComply, which verifies bettors' location on behalf of legal sportsbooks, registered 100 million sports betting transactions on the Super Bowl 57 weekend, a 25% increase from last year. Several American sports books reported milestones as a result of the increased traffic. FanDuel, which is a fantasy and online betting site, averaged 2 million active users on its platform throughout the Kansas City Chiefs' 38-35 victory over the Philadelphia Eagles, and was taking a record of 50,000 bets per second at its peak. DraftKings, another sport betting site, paid out $2.68 million US dollars to one bettor who wagered $1.68 million US dollars on the Chiefs' money line. MGN Research says it had the highest Super Bowl betting handle in company history for the state of Nevada, including money wagered at its 9 retail sportsbooks on the Las Vegas Strip and on its BetMGN app. Next year, the countdown to Super Bowl 58 is already on, and given it will take place in the sports betting capital of the world, the handles are only bound to increase. As for who could be taking home the Lombardi Trophy next year in Las Vegas, the books are already favoring a repeat. At DraftKings, the Chiefs open as plus 600 favorites to win it all again, while the Eagles open at plus 900, the fifth best odds. Betting, bet responsibly, but make money while you do it with your head on. Thanks for joining me on today's edition of the program. Till I come away next time, I'm yours truly today, tomorrow, and of the future in sports business, Jide Olanro.
The majestic river Niger, rising from the highlands of Guinea, it meanders through many countries to Nigeria, slicing through the commercial city of Onitsha and the beautiful Asaba on her way to the Delta, where she discharges into the Gulf of Guinea in the Atlantic Ocean. Stretching to about 4,000 kilometers, River Niger is the third longest in Africa and provides livelihood to the people of the many communities on its bank. From here, they irrigate their farmlands and fish in its deep waters. Aside providing veritable mode of transportation, it is also a source of power generation. In fact, many people, particularly in Anambra and Delta states, depend on the river for their sustenance. Back in the day, canoes were the primary means of transportation on the river and served to convey goods and people from one bank to the other. But in 1965, 5 years after independence, the first Niger Bridge constructed by Dumais was completed. With the inauguration of the bridge, the main east-west connection in Nigeria was created. For Southeasterners, Homecoming is everything. They return en masse at festive seasons to celebrate with kinsmen. But quite often, the frightening gridlock on the old bridge turns the homecoming trip into a nightmare. Femi Adesina recalls the harrowing experience of a friend who spent 6 hours trying to cross from one end of the bridge to the other.
That friend I had known long before now called me and said, "Please, what could I do?" I said, "What was the issue?" He said he had been on the river Niger Bridge for 6 hours. 6 whole hours. He said, "Can I call somebody so that they can intervene and let the bridge flow?" He said, 6 hours from the foot of that bridge, that when traffic flows, you can cross that bridge in 5-7 minutes. He said 6 hours they had spent on that bridge, and there was no hope that they would get to the other side.
But then there are those with more bitter tales to tell. On this same bridge, homebound families are known to have been trapped for hours and days on end.
I have slept there, so I can have a first-hand experience of the challenge. So in situations like that, it's a nightmare, because you may even come there thinking that you are just you have stayed 1 day. Some people tell you they have stayed 2 days, especially during festivities. It's usually a very major nightmare.
Aside the nightmarish experience of the users, the bridge also poses danger to motorists as a result of the heavy load it bears.
I've had awful experiences flying through that Niger Bridge. It has been an awful experience where we have a dilapidated bridge that for so many years it has lasted. It was so dilapidated that sometimes you'd be scared that you might end up having your car get into the river. So it's an awful experience.
There has been lots and lots of tales about that place. We've had records of the bridge quivering, motorists on the bridge actually feeling the quakes and tremors from the bridge. So it was, in one way or the other, going to end up being a nightmare. It was actually a catastrophe just waiting to happen.
Now, 57 years after it was built, the second Niger Bridge is coming up quickly to alleviate the plight of the people, reduce the load on the old bridge, and boost the socio-economic potentials of the Southeast.
The bridge is very nice. It's very good. So we believe that since the new Niger Bridge have passed, we believe that development can come.
Truly, the construction of a second bridge across the river Niger had long been identified as the panacea to the seemingly intractable gridlock and frustration on the old bridge. Until 2018, it was the subject of intense politicking. While President Shehu Shagari promised to build the bridge, General Ibrahim Babangida challenged Nigerian engineers to design it. From General Sani Abacha to successive governments, nothing much was done except perhaps for President Olusegun Obasanjo, who actually flagged off the construction of the bridge on the eve of his departure in 2007. His successor, Alhaji Omar Yaradua, had a short stay in office, but ahead of the 2015 general elections, President Goodluck Jonathan performed another groundbreaking ceremony and promised to do the bridge.
I remember that clearly in my office, in the Sun newspapers, on that day. And I remember crystal clear that flag off and the things that were said about that bridge. And it's amazing that nothing happened. And then the day the then President Jonathan also went to that side, I remember clearly That's why it's baffling that after all those body movements, nothing happened.
It was being used for politics. Every 4 years, they do flag off, they do ceremony. After the flag off, they remove everything, and then the bridge is forgotten. After another 4 years, at every election period, canopies are set, and then another flag off. So that was why when the president now gave his word, knowing who he is, that he's going to do this bridge, considered it a flagship project, and then followed through. Today, we're no more talking about flag off. We're now talking of commissioning.
The era that was most significant vis-a-vis Second Niger Bridge was the 16 years of the People's Democratic Party. Anytime elections were approaching, they would go there, make some body movements as if things were going to happen concerning the Second Niger Bridge. Once elections came and they got the votes of the Southeasterners, they disappeared. The next time, when elections were coming again, they would pretend that there was movement on Second Niger Bridge and it would fizzle out again. Then came Muhammadu Buhari, a man from the northwest of the country, from Dara. In terms of affinity with the southeast, it's not much, except that we're all Nigerians.
Interestingly, while little was done during the period of bumper harvests from oil sales, President Muhammadu Buhari, who arrived the scene at a time of lean financial resources, became the game changer. Without the boastful promises and grandstanding of the past, President Buhari plunged headlong into the project. Today, he has succeeded where others before him failed.
I think I'm going to say it unequivocally that President Muhammadu Buhari, that is one of the greatest achievements that he has done for Nigeria. I'm not talking about Southeast, I'm talking about Nigeria as a whole. Because without that bridge, there will be no movement from Southeast to North, from Southeast to West. So even going outside Nigeria, a lot of folks that come to Aba, buy goods, come to Onitsha, buy goods, now have to transfer those goods to other nation states.
It is encouraging, it is nice to see that for the first time, we actually have an administration that has looked into that problem and preferred a real solution in the new Niger Bridge. So I think it's a positive step, one that if more of our leaders would emulate, it would make Nigeria a much better place for us to live in.
The Second Niger Bridge is an engineering marvel being executed by Julius Berger, the international construction giant. Stretching to a length of 1.6 kilometers, the bridge is equipped with a 10.3 kilometer highway. The toll plazas in both directions of the facility have 8 lanes leading to the bridge. The Owerri interchange on the Onitsha-Owerri road is designed to provide direct access to the bridge from Obosi in Anambra State to Asaba in Delta. Construction of 2 secondary bridges at Amakom and Atani communities are also part of the total package.
All the 16 booths have been completed. The operation building also completed. Then the workshops and other ones, security house, they've been completed. Then the approach road on this project, we have 3 kilometers on Asaba end. Like I said, it's has been constructed. We only need to put the final layer of the asphalt. Then on the Onitsha end, the Anambra end, we have completed more than half of it.
On the eastern side of the bridge lies the ever-bustling Onitsha, a commercial hub that embodies the resilient and enterprising spirit of the people of the southeast. The Onitsha main market, reputed to be the largest in Africa, attracts visitors from across the continent and contributes to the hectic commercial environment of the city. As a result of the intense economic activities in Onitsha and beyond, traffic holdup on the old bridge is perpetual and frustrating. But the ongoing 7-kilometer approach road on the Onitsha side of the new facility will help to eliminate congestion and provide direct access to the second bridge. The idea is to connect the southeast and south-south regions seamlessly to the rest of the country.
You see, you are talking of a bridge that links Anambra State, southeast, Abia, Imo, to the entire Nigeria, coming through Lagos. All right, that is the route. All the containers that come from Lagos coming to the east, that's the route they use. It's quite enormous. It's something that, if you look at the economic benefit, you get very excited. There's quite a lot we can benefit from it, and it's going to impact very positively on the economy of the southeast.
It's going to lead to free flow of traffic. Of course, even our people who reside in other parts of the world, or in other parts of the country, once there is a period of festivities where all of our people return home to celebrate Christmas, Easter, and what have you, they will not hesitate. Most of them will come back home, and coming back home brings happiness. Everything economic will become viable because goods will move freely, it will boom, and everything will pick up.
On the other side of the bridge lies the serene city of Asaba, the capital of Delta State and once the colonial headquarters of the Southern Protectorate of Nigeria. Strategically located on the bank of the river, Asaba serves as the main entryway to the city.
Between the western part and the eastern part of the country and the rest of the country to travel at Easter, at Christmas, and other festive seasons. You left till the next day, have that experience. So the relief will come for them.
President Muhammad Buhari is a man of few words. When in 2010 it with a pinch of salt and perhaps waved it off as a familiar story, a tale by moonlight repeatedly told by past politicians without commensurate action. 4 years after, the dream is set to become a reality.
I thank God I'm alive to see the working of that second Niger Bridge. They have gone a long way. I am happy over what I see today. They are trying. They are trying. I pray, let the Chukwu Okike Abioma guide them. So far they have gone.
It's been a subject of serious politicking over the years. So our people kind of developed a feeling that it will never come. Not all of a sudden, here come.
Because they made it political. Instead of really pulling up their bootstraps and working, they turned it to a political thing. That was why whenever elections were approaching, they would go there to hoodwink the people of the region to get their votes. They turned it into a political thing. But then came President Buhari, who was not interested in fooling anybody, who was not interested in the politics of it, was just interested in action.
Under this administration as well, the long-abandoned Onitsha River Port has been revived and may soon become a port of final destination for goods bound for the southeast, thereby decongesting the existing seaports in Lagos, Port Harcourt and other cities. Stakeholders are of the view that the second Niger Bridge will boost activities at the river port and complement the multimodal transportation initiative of the administration.
Road, you talk about the rail, you talk about water and things like that. So this multi-approach is something that has a lot to do with impacting on the economy. So here is the Onitsha River Port that has to deal with the water, and then here is the second Niger Bridge that has to do with the roads. But both complement each other.
To ensure compliance to schedule and quality delivery, the project site has witnessed high-profile visitors lately. Aside the Minister of Works, Babatunde Fashola, who pays regular supervisory visits to the site, the Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, recently led top functionaries of the federal government to see the state of readiness of the bridge.
The Federal Executive Council has passed tolling policy, national tolling. National is for the nation as a whole. So which one will be concession, toll fares, and so on, that's secondary. Important, let us finish this road.
Similarly, the Minister of Finance, Hajia Zainab Ahmad, also came calling with the Managing Director of the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, Mr. Uchoji, and Chief Executives of other relevant agencies. For the Minister, it was an inspection and assessment visit to be sure the 157 billion naira so far released has been well utilized.
I can report to Mr. President and say I have seen where all the 157 billion naira has gone to. This is a project that is very dear to His Excellency the President. It is designed to uplift the lives and livelihoods of the people of the southeastern part and the southwestern part of our country.
Indeed, the transportation industry has experienced unprecedented turnaround in the past 7 years. For a critical sector that supports socio-economic growth, it's never been this good. Apart from equipping the National Inland Waterways Authority to provide navigable pathways for the movement of goods and services, stupendous amount of resources have also been committed into developing a functional rail transportation system. In addition to the second Niger and local Oweto bridges, solid road networks that crisscross the country and connect the geopolitical zones have been constructed.
When the story of the Buhari administration is to be told, of course, we will talk about the second Niger Bridge, we will talk about the Bodo Boni Bridge, we will talk about the local Oweto Bridge, we will talk about Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, we will talk about the new ultramodern airport in Lagos, the one in Kano, the one in Port Harcourt, we will talk about the new runway in Enugu, we will talk about so many things.
Just as the River Niger provides legitimate employment and sustenance for many families, construction activities at the new facility have also given jobs and livelihood to many people from the region. In addition to this legacy infrastructure, critical road projects and monuments are also being executed in the zone. Despite these huge investments, political detractors had actually tried to sell the false narrative of hatred and marginalization to some gullible natives of the area.
With the developmental strides that the president has taken to the south, it's not just the second Niger Bridge. What about the Enugu-Port Harcourt Expressway, which the president made sure that that rehabilitation of such road is completed? Other giant projects that the president has started and also completed in the southeast is an evidence that the president indeed does not hate the southeast.
Don't forget that time was when Southeasterners, people of Igbo extraction, were controlling the levers of development. I'll give you an example. The Deputy Senate President from Southeast, Deputy Speaker from Southeast, Chairman Senate Committee on Works Southeast, Chairman House Committee on Works Southeast, Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy Southeast, Secretary to Government of the Federation Southeast. And all through those periods, not 1 kilometer of our roads, federal roads, that were in terrible state, not 1 kilometer was addressed. And all these people I mentioned are from Southeast. Now it took somebody else who is not from Southeast to now address this infrastructural decay. Now face the reconstruction of these roads, this critical infrastructure. Just to mention a few of the things that this administration has done in the Southeast. And then somebody goes back and says he hates Southeast. How does you demonstrate hate? This president bears malice to nobody. And he has cared for the Southeast as much as he cares for other parts of the country.
The second Niger Bridge is an important national asset. Aside easing traffic on the old bridge, it is an inter-regional integrator with the capability of boosting economic activities and development in the Southeast. Already, the people are beginning to tap into the huge investment opportunities that come with the bridge.
You know our people, we are business people. We understand the dynamics and we take advantage of opportunities. It will bring a lot of development to the Southeast, a lot. And even South-South, because the bridge is coming from Asaba to Onitsha and vice versa. So the development is not only for South, it's also for South-South.
Truly, when the story of the Muhammadu Buhari administration is told, the second Niger Bridge will be recorded among its greatest achievements.
When President Buhari would have been done and is gone to have his due retirement, and the story is being told, what would never be forgotten will be his footprints on the sands of time in terms of infrastructure.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians have said in this part of the world.
The new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues. Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it, so that you can...
The location of the scene is at Shogule, specifically PWD Railway Crossing Junction. We realized that a luxurious bus conveying staff of Lagos State was involved in road traffic crash with a moving train. Immediately we activated our immediately we moved in with the first responders, and we are able to rescue 84 people, and the 84 people were taken to the Lagos State Teaching Hospital where they are receiving adequate treatment. Also, we recovered 2 bodies. The 2 bodies that were recovered were taken to the mortuary. However, our operation was swift, prompt, effective and efficient, and we concluded the rescue operation as fast as possible. We now move to the recovery phase of the operation. The recovery phase of the operation, we have our sophisticated equipment on the ground, the Charlie, we have our buffalo on the ground, we have our elephant on the ground, and we are working with all the primary responders. Very soon, we will complete the recovery phase.
At least 26 fishermen have been reportedly killed by suspected fighters of the Islamic State's West African province ISWAP in Mokdolo village, Borno State. According to Zagazola Makama, a publication focused on the Lake Chad region, the fishermen were ambushed, tortured and killed. Military sources told the publication that dozens of terrorists on motorcycles invaded the village on Wednesday and shot sporadically. At least 9 of the fishermen managed to flee, while 3 sustained bullet wounds. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) on Thursday denied reports that the transfer of former director of ICT is one of the reasons there were glitches during the uploading of the February 25 national election results. INEC's Chief Press Secretary Rotimi Oyekomi explained that the glitches suffered by the IREV for some hours during the election could not have been affected by the functionality of the beavers, adding that the machine can transmit the polling unit results in offline mode if there was network at the polling unit at the time of the activity. He said such report is an attempt to mislead the public. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has confirmed that it plans to end mandatory COVID-19 tests for travelers from China, joining other countries in eliminating the requirements. The CDC said it will continue to monitor cases in China and around the world and continue the genomic sequencing program at select airports that asks travelers to volunteer to help with early detection of new COVID variants. Amid allegations of bribery, the federal government has asked a London High Court to deliver judgment in its favor in a case against the Process and Industrial Development Company, P&ID. In the case, the federal government is seeking to overturn an arbitration award in favor of the P&ID, which was now accrued interest worth $11 billion. Presenting the plea, counsel to the federal government, Mark Howard, told the court that P&ID obtained its contract by telling repeated lies and paying bribes to officials, adding that its founders, Michael Quinn and Brendan Cahill, had a track record of bribery and were involved in corruption on an industrial scale. The latest Russian strikes on Ukraine in weeks killed at least 6 people and caused power outages across the war-battered nation on Thursday. The deadly Russian barrage struck the Lviv region in Ukraine's west and left second city Kyiv without power, water or heating. Kyiv Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said 2 people were injured and 15% of households were without power and 14% without heating following explosions in 2 areas of the Ukrainian capital. In sports, the Confederation of African Football Cup Group B Match Day 4 encounter between Rivers United of Nigeria and DC Motema Pembe of Democratic Republic of Congo has been scheduled for Thursday at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium, Uyo. Rivers United confirmed the rescheduling of the match on their Twitter handle. Rivers United are 6 points from 3 matches and a point behind ASEC Mimosas of Cote d'Ivoire, while Motema Pembe are bottom of the standings on 2 points. Well, that's it on the newsroom at this time. Thank you for watching. I'm Simisola Adipo. Bye for now.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians are saying in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
In terms of settling down, does age affect the chances of choosing the partner you want? In terms of settling down, does age affect the chances of choosing the partner you want?
It should be the choice. I think it should be the choice.
In which way? Me as female, I date a younger person.
I feel
like
as a female, like, as in is age a factor in you
deciding
getting what you want?
To, yeah, who you want to.
Who you want to get married to.
Meaning, can I get married to a younger man?
No. Like, for example, as you grow older, for example, now, your chances of getting who you really want becomes slim.
Okay.
I don't think it plays like that for a man.
For a man, yeah, it doesn't.
It's for a man.
But it's for a lady.
For ladies, I just feel like you don't. For ladies, you can say that yes, we have the, how do they say it? It's not in our favor. You get. It's more in guys' favor. You see guys in late 40s, just getting married in 50s. Yeah. But for women, you understand? They're like, oh, you think about your biological clock. You think, oh, maybe can she, still be able to have kids and everything. So you understand? So most times when they get to a particular age, they start getting pressed like, oh, like let me just look for one and just settle down or something. You get.
I even think like
You just settle for anybody they say.
No,
not like they settle.
no, I'm just
No,
saying
they
that
don't.
for them.
It's just
I'm
that.
not saying that
It's just that. Like,
Older women
me,
settle now. They settle at the end of the day.
they don't. I don't think they're going to settle now. There is easy.
I was about to say, like,
you can freeze
modernization,
your
like.
You freeze your eggs.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's quite easier now.
It's quite easier now.
And again, people like have a liberal mind now.
Liberal mind, and
things.
in fact now, now more people are more maybe because people are now more open, and then they, civilization and everything.
Yeah.
People are now seeing that you don't need to rush to anywhere. Do you understand? Actually. Okay, so and then because of what is even happening right now, like people. Considering marriages where people, you rush in and then you rush out. People are like, no, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to wait to get married to the right person. You understand? I'm not negating the fact that some people are still rushing.
Yes,
you
are still taking your time.
Yeah, that's why.
As a woman.
That's why I say.
I'm not saying that maybe she's trying to be picky, but like maybe I'm not saying maybe at that stage.
Yes.
That maybe she's saying, oh, I don't like this song. Oh, maybe for petty reason. I'm saying maybe at that stage, maybe she has not gotten anybody. She's not going to go and meet any random person and just go and.
But anybody that approaches her, she would agree.
Wrong.
No, that's what I'm saying. She's not just going to just because any random person comes to.
Yes.
So you think at 37?
That's what I'm saying. Medicine has made things easier and science.
You can
so
freeze
she
your
could
eggs.
freeze her egg and she's not worried about her age to give birth.
Is that the only thing women worry about?
It's part of the thing. That's one of the major things in
Nigeria.
Nigeria.
That's one of the major
or
things
in
that
Africa.
people worry about is their biological.
It's the truth.
Unless you don't want kids.
It's the main thing.
Because
in-laws, your in-laws will say, why won't marry this babe? She don't she don't give you picky, she don't give us grandchildren. So that's just
the only reason why you don't feel married.
I mean major thing. Now major thing for Nigeria.
But what of you?
Me, for an older woman. If I like the older woman, I'll get married to her. There are ways we could look for a child.
So she's like 50, can you get married to her?
No, 50 is too much. There's a considerate age. I can't.
Considerate age?
What is the truth now?
Considerate age?
Huh?
45.
No. I'm going to be 34. Let's say a lady 40. Yes, I could.
6 years.
Yes, I could. But above that, that's.
What of 41?
No, I say I'm telling you the age.
41, she just left now.
It's the same thing.
Even that 40
you get
almost 6 years difference.
So that's
Shay, what about you?
Almost is a no. Forget that.
Which age? Like what of a year older?
Maybe my max now 3 years. Max 3 years older. Max.
Everybody does his own this thing. So
max.
But you should at least consider 41. Should still.
How you go consider
the 41 I don't consider.
The 47 we go still talk well. You know if you consider 40.
No, but 40 is cool for you.
It's cool.
6 years.
I just feel like the most important for men, the worry for them, for women, is the fact that one thing they're scared about is their biological clock.
Yeah.
Menopause and all those kind of things. Do you understand? We all know that is aside. If you're not worried about it, that means maybe you don't want to have kids.
Exactly.
Or
maybe you just want to adopt, or
you want to adopt, or you want to do surrogacy. If you've frozen your eggs, you understand. So that's just the thing.
But another funny thing in Africa that we made it look like as if it's a woman thing. It also affects men. Getting married at a very...
It doesn't affect men.
I want to explain to you what I mean by it affects.
Wait.
I'm not saying men
drop their standards.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying this. You imagine you getting married as a guy. You're wasting time. You're getting married at 40, 45. So let's say by the time your child will be... Wait,
doesn't mean that it was wasting time.
I'm not saying you're wasting time. I'm saying you're taking time. Wait. That is it's still the same thing. We're only just talking about ladies at this stage. Okay, you're taking time, and then you finally get married or get settled at 40 or 45. So by the time your first child will be like 10 years, you're 55 years. So when would you stay to enjoy your kid?
As in,
you still enjoy him now.
Like how? As in you're already old. Is it at your old age you want to enjoy your kid? or at a younger age.
Like
so people get married
See,
as
let me
early
tell you,
as
what
25
exactly
and
they
they
don't
don't
have,
give
they
birth
don't have
until
any
45,
child.
50.
What would they do?
That's it. That one is a different case. That one is a different case.
I'm just saying that.
And even at that part
government
is because maybe they've not explored other options to get kids, or maybe they don't have the means to get kids. Yes,
so you
there's
want to tell me that?
And people have tried IVF how many times?
Even if you don't work, then you adopt.
We all know how adoption is in Nigeria. Adoption is very, very, as in the process is long.
Tedious.
And which is one of the things that people are really speaking out about. That
the process long. You see,
which is one of the things that they're talking
road,
about.
Anybody
It's
carry
so
and
difficult.
go out.
People are saying it's very, and that's why people are saying that's why people go for that baby factory thing. That because of the
doing it the legal way is stressful. Yes,
doing the legal way is very stressful. It will
very
take you years before they.
Yes.
Wow. Why do you think baby factory?
Papers upon papers. That's why baby factory is easier. You just go and get the thing easily with your money.
That 1 year you're done.
Now this one even with your money. Yeah.
For years, 5 years, they've not given you child.
One.
As in you still be on, and it doesn't mean that you even get it though. Do you understand? And that is why baby factory is moving.
It's moving.
And people are really speaking
Black
up
market,
now. I don't know. People are really speaking on that. Nigeria, the government should do something about adoption. They should make sure the process is easy. Do you understand?
They just have so many children there,
so that you can get rid of all this baby factory springing up everywhere and there. Do you understand?
But I don't think a man's standard drops. So even no matter how old he gets at the end of the day, because you see, a man is, especially if he's not rich, but let me say well-to-do. If the guy is well-to-do, his standard will not drop.
I think he said to.
I still want a slim babe. I still want a fair babe.
I think he said to.
I
think he said to.
He said to.
Do you know why?
Men settle. Even when they're not even old.
Men don't
settle. Yes.
Even when they are not old.
Yes. Let me tell you how it works. Like when they're serious, and they're active, when they're serious,
especially when their parents are on their neck.
Yes, they settle.
Before you know, they say, I didn't like her. She got pregnant for me.
Like when they're still
gone are those days that
when they're still very young and playful and they're still in the field and all, they do with this girl. That's when they even have spec. When it's time to settle and they be doing that thing, they settle.
Yeah. When it's time to settle down.
Settle down. Yes. They settle.
They
settle for anything.
They don't settle. They pick who pays them the most. No, it's not settle.
That's when they settle.
I don't think that. I buy with what they're saying.
No, I don't buy what they're saying.
You know why? Because let me explain to you something.
How can you say guys?
I've had guys. Let me explain something. I've had guys that when they were dating, they were like, oh, if I want to marry, see this kind of babe now, this kind of babe, this. And then finally, while they were dating, they had those kind of girls, those classic girls. And then when they're finally ready to settle, you just see the girl and they're like, God, I don't see why.
I'm like,
how far now? But not be this kind of person. Like what's
the guy go reply you?
You tell you say na person way I just won't deal with. Now like that person will make me happy.
Bam!
You don't drop the standard.
No.
You drop the standard.
No.
Because before you talk say my standard.
Yeah, wait till you talk.
He
say na person. Yeah, wait till you talk now. He say na person where I like.
He don't drop the standard. He drop in standard because
it just be like say wait. It just be like say everybody knows say I like beans. I like beans. Person can't give me ewa going. I can't chop ewa going. You can't say but you talk say na normal beans. Like why can't they eat ewa going? I go I see say I like this one. Pass this one. It don't mean say I said to. It means I prefer this one to even this one. No, you don't say to. It was his choice.
Because before he talk say what I want. Okay, let me use physical attributes. I want babe who gets big butt, babe who gets it. Then he won't come marry slim babe.
Maybe the slim.
Maybe we're black. Maybe and before now 5 years we get big
butt.
But Iman, calm down. If he be say he see something for that slim babe. When you know
but he makes him say he compromise standard.
No, he not compromise. He upgrade himself. He not be compromise.
You know what? You know
be compromise. No. Don't think him like that. He not compromise anything.
Okay, so why is he chasing? Why is he flirting with that his spec outside?
They will not be like.
Why is he flirting with his spec?
His spec outside.
Yes.
They will not be like look at it.
Like you
like
when
after you not come marry that one, you still flirt.
You not be flirting with his spec outside.
See that one. That's a different topic that we cannot delve into now.
Okay, good.
Men naturally, no matter what,
they like
are promiscuous by nature.
Okay. How?
We have discussed this issue.
We don't discuss them before. Now I say more not delve into this thing deeply. More not delve into them deeply.
Let's not go into it.
There is a very high probability for a man, even a married man, to still look outside at the end of the day. Because men, our eye know they stay one place. Now so it be. No, not a loose man. Now so it be. It takes the grace of God, serious grace of God, serious grace of God.
If not because
for a man,
religious belief.
I did tell you,
if not because of religious belief, if not because of religious belief, and then some form of morality, no be lie. Virtually all men.
Oh, that's like inbuilt, inbuilt.
No, I'm not saying it's
inbuilt. So why is it there now? So why is it there? Why is it there?
It's not.
I agree. I'm telling you, inbuilt. It just depends on the man's character and the way he's willing to discipline himself.
That's where I want to come from.
And the percentage of men who are willing to discipline themselves that way is very, 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 very low.
So you're trying to tell
me I'm not saying there are such men who that exist.
No, like you're trying to say it's a natural thing. So it now takes a man with extra effort to actually overcome that natural
thing. Yes, it's true. Very, very true.
Very true. Very true, Korode.
What I want to say is that all this one that you're saying men. Human, as a woman too, as a man,
that thing is there.
Nature to want to I don't know how to say
explore. So let's come back to the main topic.
As a personal, it's just like, do you not think of bad things?
Yes, we all do.
We all do.
Good.
Do you do them?
No. So it's not gender based.
So it's not gender based.
No.
It's
what's the ratio of married women who cheat?
No, that's
like wait. Okay. Like to you, like how many percentage of married women?
See,
no, like
women
based on the experiences the little
men.
experience you have from what you've seen so far.
Yes, ratio of women to men.
What me I've been hearing, I think is even 50-50 or 60-40.
No, right now, yes, because right now before. Let's use before.
Before,
yes.
Before. Because people are like, oh, this thing, you know, as a married woman. Maybe it was like 30 to 40 to 60, you understand? But now with what is going on, with what we are hearing out there.
Whoa, you just wake up and all your kids are not even your own, and you think you've been cheating.
So that's why I said that it's not gender based. That cheating thing is not gender based.
It's just
not
that.
Like this thing. But you as an individual, you're going to make the decision and no, I don't want to cheat. And that was why I gave the example. We all think of bad things in our, by ourselves. Do you understand? But you know, do we all do we do that?
I know what I'm
no.
saying. It doesn't mean that me I will
because
cheat
we
have
it's an inbuilt. We have the morality that corrects it that no, you cannot do this.
No, not really. Not really.
Okay, so let's go back to the main topic.
Not really.
We need to discuss.
Let's come back to the main topic.
Discuss that later, but not really.
To the main topic.
I don't agree with you.
No, we're coming back to the main topic.
The main topic. Back to the main topic. I was saying that men don't drop their standards no matter how old they get.
They do.
If men drop their standards, you won't see 60-year-old men getting married to 20-something-year-old babes.
Wrong.
They do.
You won't see 40-something-year-old.
Wait, do you think he's getting married to 20-year-old girl? Because
not be saying you get money like that, but you go say I go marry better 26-27-year-old babe. Where you go look and say, guy, how you think get this babe?
No.
Are you trying to say the guy? Men don't settle.
Men settle.
Men settle.
Men settle a lot. Men settle a lot.
What I will say is
now, like,
the preference for men change. So not that they settle.
Why are we using the prediction? Why are we changing? Why are we changing? Why are we like settle and preference?
No.
Why are we saying settle and preference? What influences preference?
When it comes to men, it's preference. When it comes to women, it's settling. Yes.
Why is the diction changing for men and women?
No. Men settle, women settle.
Why is the language changing?
Men don't settle.
Men settle more than women.
Hey! Stop it!
I don't even know that one. But I know that men settle.
Men.
Erica, stop it. Stop that one. Stop that.
Men settle.
That's the
men settle.
Men.
Do you know that it's appalling? It's appalling how they settle.
Now our taste.
It's appalling. It's appalling how they settle.
Turning towards what you said. I think
it's appalling how men settle. Like to the last, no boxes are ticked. They just settle.
Okay, wait. John. Let me ask you a question now. You know a guy now, for example, that he's always carrying fine babes every time. He date 5 babes. They punch fine babe. Then he can't talk say he won't marry. You can't say the wife he won't marry ugly. To you, he settled, Abi? Yes or no?
He settled now.
Because he don't carry fine babes. But when he won't come marry, now ugly baby carry.
He settled because he will not go and be cheating on her. He settled.
He will not go and be cheating on
So what's the use of him settling? When he still has those fine babes at his beck and call, doesn't that tell you he didn't settle?
That tells me that
when we are talking of settling, no, it's not confused. See, when we are talking of settling, we are saying This guy does not have a choice again. He just has to make do with what he has. That's my own understanding of settling. That he not get any choice. No other person there for him except this person.
So
but these other people still there. That is not settling. He made his choice. He decided, oh, I've seen all this fine baby.
Really?
Now this ugly one I want
pick. That's not what. That's not settling.
They be like, oh, at time don't they go.
Like, guys, she don't disturb me. Almost. And now this girl agree like no time.
That's not settling.
It's settling.
That's not settling. That's not settling. Because the guy, he no go carry person where you know like put for house now.
Still set.
Some
you
women,
man you go carry person where you know like put for house, even if they pressure you.
Plenty guys don't do them.
When they know like for anything.
Yes.
For house.
Like a kind of like let's say like let me use one. Let me use one. Wait, let me use one. Let me use one. Or I know it was a royal family. And the rule of the royal family. Wait, not the same thing. Wait, and the rule of the royal family is any girl when you give belle outside. Yes, you have to marry her by force. Now still settling.
No, that was different. I'm talking of an instance where a guy has a choice.
What about guys?
No family obligation.
What about guys that they had
no cultural obligation?
And then the girl ended up getting pregnant, and then they were like, oh, there's nothing you can do. You have to marry our daughter.
Who says so? And they will not force the guy to marry her.
Doesn't happen. Say it doesn't happen.
No, I know it happens.
So what were you trying to say?
I know it happens, but that one, you can't well, maybe you can say it's settled, based on what happened. Based on what happened. It is based on what happened that it's settled.
However you want to spin it.
You're trying to streamline. You're trying to box this conversation. You're trying to streamline. You're talking choices. You're talking settling side by side choices. These are certain actions that they have carried out that influence their choice to settle.
Wait, John, let me ask you. Let me ask you this question now. When someone is settling, when you say someone settles, does that person have a choice or not? Does he have a pool to pick from?
In some cases, yes.
Yes.
And he settles.
Yes, and he settles.
Yes.
That's not true.
Yes.
That is true.
When someone settles, it means you don't have a choice. You just have to pick that person. You talk say this person give person belle. He no get choice. They don't tell him say you must marry him. You must marry him. He no get choice.
Who thought he had a girlfriend, but he just had a one-night stand?
And the girl now got pregnant.
Yes,
he doesn't have a choice because he himself, I'm sure, his family members, all of them would have already told him that, Ogbeni, you don't give this girl belle. You must marry her. He doesn't have a choice.
No,
as far as he is concerned. But what I'm saying is, you can't compare it with a guy now. Where we say the example I gave earlier. You have fine babes. He now went to carry an ugly babe.
It happens.
He made his choice that okay, I don't want any of this fine babe. I want this one.
Why? Meanwhile, those girls
probably he saw that this one will be a good wife. She'll give me peace of mind. She'll be able to cook for me. She will answer to my beck and call. Unlike all these other ones. And he decided to choose her. That is not settling.
Okay, so what's okay?
He made his choice.
So what is happening? What is going on in marriages whereby the men they were like, I didn't even I just married her because of she was just available.
Yes.
What's going on there?
Because she was available.
Yes.
I've not heard that one before.
You have not heard because she was available.
You will not hear
I just married the girl.
I married the girl because she was available.
Yes, I've even seen a scenario like that.
I know you will say you've not heard it before.
No, I'm not honest. I've not heard it. That she was just available. I don't understand.
Available to be married.
Available to be married. That's why I don't marry her.
There's no certainty that because you have a particular spec or something, it doesn't mean that you are going to eventually find somebody to get married to.
Men settle.
Women settle. I agree that women settle.
Men settle.
Because to a certain extent, they don't have that luxury of a choice to pick and say,
why?
You
as they age,
like fine wine.
Most times, let me tell you something. Shut up. Yes. Yes, they do. Yes. Let me tell you something.
I'm not talking to you.
Some of those girls, do you think that maybe they don't have any girl that is asking them out? It's because they probably just not seen their choice.
Aging.
Yes.
At 36.
Yes.
Because they've not seen their choice.
Yes. 45.
Why is it impossible?
What are you talking about?
Are you kidding me?
It's not as if maybe there's nobody asking her. It's just somewhere it's shady.
Don't let these girls come on. We already won comfort. Don't let them win you, please. No.
I've seen it play out. I've seen it play out.
So what you're trying to say that when you're 45, you cannot get married again?
Who? As a woman.
35, 36,
you don't have
37.
You don't have the luxury.
You do. You have a choice.
You don't.
You can make a choice.
You
can reject proposals.
You reject proposals.
Yes.
You go dead there at 45. You go dead there. You go old.
See, let me tell you something.
You go old. At 45, any man will come meet that woman. She go marry.
At 45, there are some men you can't get married to. Even at 45.
I'm saying, but at that point, you don't see.
You know what?
Emmanuel,
I think the image of the lady you are painting is maybe 13th century or something.
Yeah,
if you're thinking of modern women these days,
they
cannot be talking like this.
They will
not care. In Africa,
they would rather remain
in Africa,
Nigeria.
It's not true.
Now lie.
Don't say that.
Now lie. Now lie.
To that part, yes.
Now lie.
We have not.
It's a lie. We have not reached. We have not gotten to that point.
Are you kidding me?
Nigeria, we have not.
Yes.
My dear, we've not.
We have.
Whoa.
I don't understand.
Are you kidding me?
It's just the few ones that people are looking up to as celebrity.
We kidded you now.
I'm not
a lie. I don't agree.
These are not even celebrities. These are not even celebrities.
The image of women you are painting in your mind is affecting you.
There's nothing like that. I say your family cannot even allow you at that stage.
They don't allow you. Say make you just stay.
How many women do you think can stand family pressure? How many? Can you stand? Even you.
Yes, I can.
You've not faced it. If you faced it, you will know.
Yes, I can.
Once you get to that point, I'll know if you can.
Man fit face am. Man can. A man will face pressure. No doubt.
You not face family pressure. Can you face family pressure?
Men don't know how to stand pressure.
Hey, Jesus!
Men! Especially when they are mom.
Joanne keeps shooting this gun. This evening, boom.
Men do not like
this one. We're not agreeing with this one.
Boom.
If you're talking of anybody that stands pressure,
please.
if you're talking of anybody that stands pressure,
easily succumb. They could have been dating a girl for like 10 years, and then
before
their mom comes and says, "Look, and they cannot be like, my mom is on my neck. She's standing on my neck. I can't help me. I know. Please, she wants her. She found her." And they'll be like, I said, you don't be like, are you telling me that you cannot stand and defend our relationship? You don't understand how my mom is. Men cannot stand pressure. Men cannot stand pressure.
Now women that thing they catch the most now. Not men.
Women are more strong.
I want this to call this thing. What do you used to call it? My mama said. My mom said in Igbo. Name C or something. Mom C. This thing. My mom said.
You
and now branded. And I was my mom said. My mom said.
One Igbo man told you that. Oh shit.
Women are more strong-hearted than men. Men do not have the wherewithal to
especially when their moms start coming to tell them that see this woman, she's not from the
city woman.
She's a city woman that will come
that will not be following other men. Look how she's dressing.
See how she's dressing.
No, but he'll not be like, but I've been dating her.
It's like the picture people are painting is the 13th century picture.
Modern men, look at them. Modern men like you and Sheyi. Modern men.
Like who's me and Sheyi from
where? Can you stand your mom's pressure?
My mom's pressure.
Can you stand her pressure?
My dear, see.
If she stands on your neck, can you stand?
Well, let me tell you. I quarreled with my parents for months. I wasn't picking their call because of a babe, not from my side.
I'm very firm about my beliefs and my thoughts, and I stand by them, regardless of pressure.
Really?
Yes.
You can face your family.
Yes, because I want my best interest first.
Even when your family say they will disown you.
No. Disown me. One. They will not even say they will disown me. Two.
Why?
Disown me to what?
Because you don't want to say what
like disown me to
no,
it's not even possible. You can't disown me because
let's just say you're from that kind of family. No, let's work with that.
For the sake of argument purposes.
Well, I'm not from that
You need to think about it. You need to think about it. If you're from that kind of
see, guy, if you're firm-hearted, you'll be able to influence their opinion. You will be able to influence their opinion.
You will work with what we've said, or else we'll disown you.
I will look down.
To where? Cotonou?
Canada.
We're Africans. You can't do it without your family.
Whoa. Yes. Whoa.
You see, like this holiday self, you go don't agree for the family.
Proven. You see what I was telling you? Proven. Just hear what Emmanuel said.
I'm not telling you that you should not defend, but I'm saying, can you do it without your family?
Proven.
Do you know the place of a family?
So what you're trying to tell
so you're saying that they're not toxic families? Like they're not toxic families? And today their parents
accepted but the ratio to men is lower.
My dear.
No,
my dear.
Wrong.
Men go against their parents the most than women.
Yes. It's difficult to find a man that is actually willing to go.
What he's saying is the truth. Let's not argue it. Let's not argue it.
It's difficult to find a man.
Is it when the men that especially when they are more
crazy.
start saying
especially if they are more. They'll just say,
you see the women. I'm not saying some women can't be pressured. I'm not saying that they are. But don't come and say that a lot of women, they will just give in like that and say that, okay, I want to marry. If they will elope. What you're trying to say is
that a woman will stand. Like
women, there's so many times they'll be like, oh, I'll force my family because they never even supported the marriage.
Exactly.
Like there's no, it's just me and my husband and my
exactly. Do you know that I actually know about a woman like that. So she actually fought. Her family were so wealthy, and then this guy, she actually liked him from her program. So she liked the guy, and her family, they vehemently. Do you know, like she left that city they were in. She relocated with that man against, like for a year. Even when she gave birth to her first child, like it was later, like they came around, like she still tells her story, and she's like, I stood by this man. Like it's not as if today he's like anything, like they're just fine. But still, like you can actually see the fact that she's willing to go all out 100. Those women, that woman.
Do you know how many guys have done the same thing?
Do you know how many guys have done the same thing you are saying?
Do you know how many guys?
Now guys know they even send family safe.
No.
They bullshit family anyhow.
It's a lie.
This thing is saying. This thing is saying.
Do you know the only part? Do you know the only time that men bullshit family are not is to engage in peer pressure? When it comes to the real thing, nothing.
I'm telling you, you don't know.
That's why she doesn't know.
Nothing. I said, I'm so sad.
For her to say that it's only when it comes to peer pressure, that's when men flex muscle.
That's when you flex muscle.
It's to the family that men.
You never see when man declare papa and mama say I don't want to see people in my house.
Simple.
And what are you saying?
Yes.
Those ones are in the movies.
No,
which movies?
Which movie?
Which movie?
African Magic.
Even this one you said is in African Magic now.
Showcase.
Where that she left
her parents and went to
that time. Only in
African Magic.
African Magic now.
What's the name of the
epic precisely. And most times the girl's name is Caro.
Hey!
Caro or Scholastica.
Honestly speaking.
But you guys, the good thing is that you know the truth.
What truth?
The good thing is that.
Back to the topic. I just know that it's not. There's nothing like it's only female that settles.
I say it's only female. It's only female.
Men settle.
Wait, are you actually saying that it's only females that settle?
No, the both gender settle.
I don't.
Wait.
Some men may settle, maybe 2%.
May settle. Really?
You would never.
Say you really?
Before you know it.
Before you see a guy that settles,
you're not met guys that settle.
It is the guy's
Have you met guys that
what he prefers?
Oh, suddenly his preference when he got married to the woman, then his preference rebranded. There was a rebranding.
You know when a guy settles, like the example you guys gave. Maybe for example, he impregnated someone, and then the family said you must marry her. He has to settle for that one.
That's not the only.
But not
there
when
are some people
a guy is
pregnant,
still 30.
You not even be like, why did you now marry this girl?
Exactly.
We will pick his spec.
Do you understand?
Why did you marry this girl?
You'll be hearing things after a week of marriage.
Why did you marry this girl?
They never even show this. You
like why? And he's already like.
It's due to other factors. It's not because he settled.
No.
It's due to other factors.
It's because he settled.
Probably he didn't know her character before. When she got in, he had not seen.
He didn't know her character, but his preference changed. But he didn't know her character. I thought it was character that made him settle. No.
I didn't say his character.
So you said that. So after 1 week that you now saw her character. Before the wedding, you didn't see her character. After that one.
Her character adjusted. There was a shift.
Do you think you know the character of your husband 100%?
Oh, okay.
Yes or no? No answer. Yes or no?
Who is talking 100%?
You know the character of your husband?
Does he know his character 100%?
Wait.
Even him, he doesn't know.
They always dull.
Even him, he doesn't know his character 100%.
Will you know the character of your husband 100%?
You can never know anybody's character.
So what are you saying? What am I saying?
But you should know enough. You should know enough for the marriage to be sustained. Your character, Sheyi.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
So you cannot know anybody's character.
So what you're just saying now?
But no, you should know. You should know enough. You should know.
What you're saying does not make sense.
You should know enough. You should know enough.
You just said now that have you not heard of situations where some people get married and after 1 week, 2 weeks they are fighting? I said maybe because when they got married, the guy discovered some vices she had that he did not know before.
1 week.
And you are tackling me on that. And you just agreed with me that you cannot know a person's character 100%. So what are you saying?
I didn't agree with you. I said when you ask them, they'll be like, oh, he
wasn't as if I liked that. I just wanted to get married to just
exactly.
Now lie. Now woman they talk that one. No be man they talk that one. Now woman they talk that one. It's a lie. It's not. No guy will say that. No guy will say that. That I just married her. No, it's not possible.
You know.
I just married her. That what? No. I don't believe. I don't believe in that.
Just calm down.
Do you know what I'm saying? You cannot have issues. You cannot have issues in marriage after 1 week. And I know that you cannot know somebody's character 100%. I mean, people don't even know themselves 100%. But you should know enough to sustain the marriage. Like, why 1 week? Like, I don't get how will you get married in 1 week and then you just scatter and then you tell me character. And again, remember you talked about.
Are you saying all those people that their marriage scatter after 1 week is because they settled? Is that what you're saying?
No, Shay.
No, I just wanted to clear that.
Shay, do you know what? Okay. Do you know the thing is that with this whole marriage thing, you can't just pinpoint and say this is that. But the thing is, when we're talking about settling, there are actually guys that just get married. You never even be like, wow, see, like, why isn't it? Me, I beg, I just want to marry, like, no time, I just want to marry. Like,
wait, I just want to marry person we are no like.
I just want
what
obviously.
Shay, what you're trying to say
obviously, that's it.
Wait.
I just want to marry,
guys. Like, because
guys,
I just want to marry.
I just want to marry.
Man, just carry this one, put inside house.
Speak for yourself. You can't just say that, oh, it cannot happen. Speak for yourself.
Exactly.
You cannot marry someone that you don't like. You cannot say every guy out there.
Guys will not marry somebody they don't like. No guy will marry somebody he does not like.
How can you say?
It's not possible.
How can you say no guy?
No guy. I'm telling you. He's married. He must see something where he like. Either maybe the babe get money or her family get money or something. You can't tell me that a guy will not marry someone that he does not like.
He doesn't like at all.
No. Don't tell me that. Now women they do that one because they don't look and say I need to. All my mates are married. Me too. I want to be married. Even if the let it shall be a man. It shall put me in his house.
80% of men marry people they don't like.
80 what?
30.
You are an arm robber.
Up to 30%.
You are a bandit. You are a bandit. You are a bandit. What?
They are happy marriages. Yes, and it doesn't change the fact that
it doesn't mean that because
for women, I agree.
It doesn't mean that because they are in
an
unhappy marriage.
What you're saying.
That now means that.
You know what you guys do? You just pick a part of the whole thing I've been saying, and then now say, do you mean that?
Do you mean that what?
Quote me not.
What I am
Why
saying.
shouldn't we quote you when you are saying it?
See, don't take it out of context. That's what I'm saying.
Talk.
Put it. Don't come and say, do you now mean that happy marriages are called by marrying people that you do not like? No, I did not say it.
So what did you say? What did you say?
Please.
Speak for yourself. You are.
I'm speaking for the main race
Because
I'm a representative of the men, and I'm saying it here now, and I will keep saying it.
And Sheyi, I thought you will settle.
Me, it's not possible. It's not possible.
You'll be like, what? Like it's shocking. Oh my guy, I just need to know time.
Now I can't carry ugly woman put for house.
No one is talking about ugly or something. No one is talking about no one is.
Or he just carry somebody he does not like.
Exactly.
Exactly. Now you're getting the point.
Let me just marry her.
Now you're getting the point.
In the long run, you get to like her. Probably.
I don't know about that one.
That one, if it happen,
can happen, bro.
If it happen, I'm not doubting that one. I'm not disputing that one. But what I'm saying is
that there must have been a
he go get something when the guy like
something. Yes.
He chose her. It's not as if he didn't
have
a choice. He chose her.
Exactly. Do you know what she is trying to do?
You know something. Some guys, they feel pick ugly woman. Say they won't marry this ugly woman because they know. Say if I put her for house, if I say sit down,
my peace they guarantee.
My peace, you don't get my point. So it's not as if he didn't have a choice. He could have decided to go for that figure 8 and put her in his house or another person. But because he don't know, say even put figure 8, if you don't tell her, make she sit down, make she sit down.
So
he decided to go for someone that he will talk to and that person will listen to him.
So are you saying
he had choices to make.
Choices,
he had options.
Yes.
When you're talking of settling, the person who get choice.
Are you saying now that? Are you saying now that for women?
Let me just
Are you saying that for women now? For a woman now, when she's of age and all, even if she
36, 37,
37,
38,
even if
40.
she sees a man that is raw, everybody know him, he's a tout, she'll just be like, oh, mom, my time is going, and it's only this man that's
If the guy says she won't marry him, she go marry him.
It's a
No,
lie.
I don't think it's true.
It's a lie.
I don't think
My
it's
chest.
true. I don't buy into that.
What do you even think of?
I don't
What do you even
Why
think
you-
of?
exactly.
I think, you know one thing I'm going to say that the kind of women she rolls with is all those kind of women.
The
that,
kind of
you
who?
know, the kind of women.
You are a bandit. you are a bandit.
Sorry, they not explain
about
this.
this
Yeah, you're wondering.
Most time you're wondering
Who are you
what
meeting?
Wait,
Why
why would they hype on herself?
Who are you meeting?
Why would they hype?
Because
I don't
wait,
think
wait,
that
wait,
women has
Why would I
choices.
hype myself?
You might say,
If you're
you might
meeting
say that
women of this
probably
age.
maybe maybe before they get to that
13th
stage,
century.
they say maybe they want a guy that has too much money or all of this. But once they get to that part, they now like, okay, this one doesn't have, but he has this.
But he has this.
And
Even men are
fine,
being
they said-
realistic.
that's what I'm saying. It's the
You
same
move
thing.
from a place of
Everybody.
fantasy to a place of reality.
Yes. Women.
Everybody moves from a place of fantasy.
Exactly.
Who they toast to? Na man they toast woman. Abi na woman they toast man.
It's a
Wait,
the
two.
Now you might ask questions.
The two.
Please hush, please.
Okay.
Talk to the hand, please. I'm talking to you. Am I
He has
talking to you?
answered. He has
Am I talking to
answered.
you? Am I talking
He
to
said the
you?
two.
I ain't talking to you. Hush.
Anybody that likes should
Woman they
act
toast
out.
man.
Yes.
You don't see where woman toast man.
Yes.
Okay, wait. Oh yeah. If person want engage person, propose. Who they propose?
Okay, you didn't say proposal.
Calm down.
You didn't say proposal. You said toast.
Man, answer my
You
question.
said toast.
Oh yeah, I don't come out. Oh yeah, I don't come out toast.
Oh yeah, where you don't enter.
Propose.
For propose.
You don't ever see a woman will propose to man say, will you marry me?
No.
Good.
But she go feel initiate am.
Thank you.
She feel initiate
She feel
am.
initiate
She
am.
feel no bring the ring
Okay,
nail down.
okay,
And the
okay,
man
okay,
duty
okay,
to
okay,
do
okay,
am.
so
to
what-
propose.
and
Yes.
if she initiate am, that's if they give the man clue, abi.
Yes.
They make the man propose.
Yes.
To her. So whose choice is it to make the proposal?
And the guy now.
Good. What am I trying to say now? It is the guy that makes the choice, not the woman that makes the choice.
Women still make
Hey.
choice.
How does she make the choice? She cannot predict who will propose to her now.
No, but she still has
It just be like say woman now. I date woman now, for example. Okay, she likes me. She wants me to propose to her. I can decide not to propose to her.
And that one a different ball game.
No, be
But
different
she
ball game.
choose say, now this kind of person I go like one day with.
Bam. Now, me when she like, I no propose to him. But another guy dey, she not too like the guy. That one propose to him, and she don't be 38, 39.
And you think she's
You think say she no go accept that guy proposal?
No, she's
she
not.
go dey wait for me.
She will not.
Let's be factual.
In this part now,
Let's be factual.
in this part,
Let's be
I
sincere.
feel she's going to accept this one
opinion.
because
Bam.
if this guy
That's
is
your
wasting
opinion.
time.
Your opinion.
No, it's not his opinion.
Your
No.
He's not speaking
his
for
opinion.
us.
He's speaking
No,
So
she
what this guy is
doesn't.
wasting, and she's saying that this guy is not going to say
Another
anything.
person will come.
Wait, at what time?
What do you mean at what
This
time?
one is
At
not
what
being
time? But
At
at
what
This
time
one that
now?
is
At what
proposing,
time?
this one that is proposing is responsible.
Man,
No,
the
then
girls
you're saying
are
she's
already
settled.
desperate.
Eh?
Then.
Then you're still saying she's settled.
Yeah, she's settled now. That's what we are saying.
She's
The women
settled.
are
In
That
that
women
scenario.
very
Sheyi,
desperate.
remember,
settled.
Sheyi, do you know what
I'm
you're doing?
not-
Do you know you're
nobody
doing that
say
thing
that
again?
women do-
Sheyi, you're doing that thing again.
What am
That
I
thing you
doing?
always do. You bring a scenario and then you rope all the conversation into that. This is one scene. Sheyi,
I just gave you an example.
That's
You
what
say I
I
bring
did.
a scenario.
No, what do you want to say?
You bring that scenario and say,
Because one
because I know what you're doing, but this is one. Let's even agree. This is even
Joy.
one scene.
Exactly.
And we are
That's
not
what
saying
I'm
that
saying.
women don't
You're
settle.
saying
Give me
for
another
all
scene.
women
Give me
settle.
another scene.
You're saying all women.
Give me another
So what
scene.
you're trying to
We're
tell me
talking
that
in
all women that are 40.
Any woman that is above 37 would definitely settle. For any man, she says.
No, she will not.
So if she sees
She
a
will not.
drug or a
She
drug
will
addict
not.
or a mafian,
She will say she will
not.
change him. She will say she will change him.
She will not. Let me tell you. She will not. She's going to make
Am I
her
not
Sheyi,
speaking?
controversial man.
Am I not
Yeah,
speaking?
controversial
Am I not
man.
speaking?
I lie. She don't go do like that.
she's
going to
she'll
make her
she'll
choice.
change the
I don't
mafian.
believe that one. I
She'll
don't
say
believe
she'll
that
change
one.
the
She'll say
mafian.
she will change him.
You're even saying mafia. So you're telling me
In
that
fact,
a well-to-do
now
woman.
woman language be that.
So
same.
wait.
I will change him. Don't worry.
Joanne.
When we get married, I will we will
They
change.
lie.
Which
What you're
woman
trying to
are
tell
you
me that a
meeting?
woman of let me say high caliber, or do you understand? She's working. She's making her
She's
own money.
big.
She's big.
Yeah.
She's not just. She's going to go and marry a riffraff just because she's 40.
She will touch him up.
No, she will
Oh,
not.
She will
Jesus.
touch him up.
She will not.
Damn.
She has the money. She will
She has
touch
the
him
money
up.
to go and marry a riffraff. Let me
she
tell
marry-
you.
Are you
those are-
saying it's not happening?
I'm not saying it's not happening,
so what are you
but
not
I'm
saying?
just saying that it's not in all cases.
Exactly.
That one,
Korede.
because she has decided to
Korede.
marry the riffraff.
Korede.
That is her own.
A
that
woman is
her own
38.
So she's just going to settle.
She no see person say, will you marry me? She can't see one guy One guy just come on from nowhere.
One
Let's even use your language, your words.
Yes.
Riffraff.
Yes.
Wait, you don't get money, you don't get car, you don't get anything.
The guy
she can't say. The guy is
not.
This guy go give him peace.
This guy go give him peace.
So because he's a guy, like so because
she can't propose.
The guy will give
the guy not propose to her. She will not say, "No, I won't marry him."
He's going to give me peace. He's going to make a good.
I'll wait for Prince Charming.
Let me wait.
No.
Even if you don't go give her peace.
I'm not talking about giving it. Giving her peace.
I'm not
talking about giving her peace. I'm talking about maybe just a random person that she doesn't even have anything for, or someone that.
Except because before they get to that stage of actually knowing if she'll give him peace or not.
I don't think a lady will settle for that kind of person.
If you said this 20 years ago, 50 years ago, I would agree.
But today, no.
Especially the girls like Corridor that stubborn.
No, all this thing I like, John. What did they tell me?
No.
When pressure hits them well, they go know what's in the happen. What are you?
So what's your trying to talk that there are no women that are 38 that don't marry?
A woman is 38, 39. When we say she gets serious respect for her family, she will contact say, no, I'm an independent woman. Independent waiting.
People that you
my friend go and marry. What are you saying?
See. I don't need to argue with you honestly because you're actually what
let me explain something to you.
I already understand
what they're saying is the truth.
I roll with you.
When
you don't roll with me.
You I roll with.
You don't roll with me.
I will not call
I roll with you.
I will not call a bank I roll tweets back in the days. One of our branch manager then, as at then I knew that she was close to 38. Since then till now, she should be in her late 40s. She's still not married. She get money pieces. Like now, baby go stay Saturday. Just say I go London. I will go watch Arsenal match. Now die hard Arsenal fan. She get mad money.
Why you think say she never married?
She never married up to now. Are they telling you?
No, man.
So are men not coming to her?
No, men they come. Men they come.
Why you think say
she probably doesn't want to settle?
Maybe she don't see the kind of person she can
want. That's even it. That's even it.
Don't say she don't get pressure.
I'll tell you why she's not married.
Why she
doesn't see herself under a man. That's why she's not married. It's not as if she don't see. It's sure for me, she go they punch some of those ones where they come to stand. They go, they do them on a low-key. But she doesn't see herself submitting to a man. That's why she's still not married. That's why she's not married. It's not as if she has not seen her spec.
Is this not choice? So is this not choice? Wait, Corridor, is this not choice?
It's not choice.
So it's not choice.
She decided to stay unmarried. She doesn't want to be under a man.
Is it not choice? It's a choice. It's a choice.
The choice we are talking of here is choice of picking a woman, picking a man. It's not choice. It's not choice. It's not choice.
You're defining choice. You're giving choice your own definition.
Madam, it is not choice.
No, that's what you're doing.
And I will explain why it is not choice. Can I explain?
No, you
can I explain?
No,
you cannot. Do I have the floor to explain?
No, you don't have the floor.
Okay, then
just allow him to explain. Allow him to explain.
Can I explain, please?
Yes, you can explain.
Can I please explain?
Yeah, you can.
Thank you very much. Now, when I say it's not choice, this is why I say it's not choice.
You just be changing
this is
exactly.
This is a woman
if it was a man, if this was a man now, is it choice?
Wait,
if this was a man, if it was a man now, remove the woman, you say it's choice.
If it's a man,
you say it's choice.
Let's listen now. Let's listen to him.
Toxic masculinity.
Wait,
if it was a woman,
let's listen to him first now.
If it was a man,
you say he chose.
That was in this scenario now. I won't say he chose. What I'm going to say is,
you don't see him being under a woman.
That is his person. He doesn't want to get married.
But this is not her person.
No, that is her own person too. She doesn't want to get married.
But she can't stay under a man.
It's different from I don't want to get married to someone who is not my spec. Get the point I'm making. There are two parallel lines. No, listen. There are two parallel lines. Just listen very well. Just listen. Don't worry, babe. Listen. Two parallel lines. I don't want to get married at all. Even if I see my spec. That's one line. Even if I see my spec, I don't want to get married at all. That is one. There is another woman that says, oh, I want to get married, but it must be my spec. There are two different things.
So these two things.
This one is said now. She doesn't want to get married, even if she sees
she told you that
a millionaire, someone that has money more than her, a Prince Charming, she will still not marry.
It's a lie. It's a
lie. Okay, let's agree.
It's a lie.
Agree. She will not get married.
It's a lie. Dangote, she said he wants to marry, and she said no. I don't want to marry.
Well, like a woman like that, I'm telling you, she won't get married.
Oh my God.
She has her own money. She's a career woman. What does she need a man for?
Corridor.
Thank
Do
you.
you know what I'm
Thank
saying?
you, my darling.
Do you know what I'm going to say?
No.
It's still choice. It's still choice. When you start saying, I do not want, when want is involved, it's choice.
His choice.
It's still choice.
Related to the topic we're discussing, we said as women age, do their choice of a partner drop? That's what we are discussing. We are not talking about do they settle. We are not talking of a woman that has decided that she doesn't even want to get married at all.
Whatever.
But do they settle?
See.
This woman, and did she settle?
See.
For who?
For any of the men that have been coming because of
in his example.
Yes.
She didn't settle for anybody now. She's not willing to pick anybody.
But she does not have family that is pressurizing her.
She can decide and say, "Oh no,
Here you go.
sir, I don't want to get married. It's not.
But
I don't want to get married."
Her, my friend, go marry.
No, yeah, they can tell her to go and get married.
And
she will tell them that, "Oh, I don't want to get married."
These are the women that we want in your mind. When
Yeah,
you're
which
thinking,
one?
not the 10th century women. We want this kind of women.
How many of them? How many day? How many women of today can decide and say, "I'm not going to get married in this life"? How many?
That was what I will agree. But now, in this now,
are you saying that now babes are willing to stay unmarried for the rest of their life rather than settle? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that I'm not saying there are not some women.
That
but you cannot say that.
It's a thing for the female gender.
Some people say they are not even up to 30.
And they settle, yes.
Just because they want to get married early or something. But for you to say that all women in the whole of this world, they settle. You are nodding your head like a gamma lizard. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not possible. It is not true at all.
I hear you.
Even let me tell you, even some women that they are not even as rich as the person you're talking about.
Yes,
they will still say no. I'm not going to go and marry any
riffraff.
I'm going to wait. I don't care. Now, even now that
and if they don't see their spec, they will keep waiting till
it's
eternity.
not about spec. Nobody's talking about spec. They just don't want to get married too. That's what I'm saying. We all know that when as you get older, you know your priorities change.
Yes.
Do you understand? It changes.
You are more in touch with reality.
You're more realistic about your choices, about what you want. You understand? You're not living in the fantasy that, oh, I want a tall, dark, and handsome. You're more particular about the attributes, the person's capabilities, his behavior, and what he can, his capabilities, whatever.
That's
Do you
right.
understand? What he can offer you.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So you're not talking about, oh, no, I want Prince Charming. No, he's not tall, he's not short, he's not, do you understand? He's not romantic enough and something.
Take care of you.
No one is talking about taking care of you.
No, we're saying you move from a place of fantasy
So
to a
now
place
you
of
move from a
realism.
place of fantasy to realistic.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
Okay, I'll keep
And then at that age, and they should not go and be meeting someone, maybe a drunkard or someone that doesn't even have a job. And they have their own money. So you think that at that age, she'll say, just let me just come in.
Put ring on my hand. Let's go.
Does she have money or not?
Does she have money? Even someone that doesn't even have money would not. Even someone. Women that they even like to be taking care of.
Woman will not get money. No go marry drunkard now. Waiting they want chop.
But
even if she has money, she cannot bring him
so
up.
Let me woman that will come. Now that women are even more enlightened that they know that men are after their money. So it's a woman that will now want to come and buy a man that she will come and be feeding.
Yes.
Then he will not have a wife in the village.
She wants everybody to know she has.
He will not keep a wife in the village that will be respecting him because he knows that he cannot expect that kind of. He will not get married one village girl.
She can choose not to respect him.
She
can choose not to adore him. She can choose not to cook for him. But she has a husband. But she has a husband. That's what she wants.
So what is the husband there?
The husband is the man. Is the man. Just that man there. So that they will say she's Mrs. So. She doesn't need to respect him. She has settled for him. And that's it. That settles it.
Trust me.
Have you gotten it? You get it now.
Please, I don't get any point.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
Many thanks for joining us on the newsroom. These are stories we're monitoring at this hour. 2 persons have been confirmed killed and 84 injured at the accident involving a train and a BRT bus, the PWD bus stop in the Ikeja area of the state on Thursday morning. According to the Permanent Secretary of LASEMA, Femi Oke-Osointolu, the cause of the collision was due to reckless driving on the part of the BRT bus driver while trying to beat the train traffic signal before the moving train rammed into the BRT bus. He said the injured victims have been administered first aid treatment by the agency's medical.
Immediately we received this distress call, we activated our emergency response plan under the watch of Mr. Governor, Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu. When we got to the scene, the location of the scene is at Shogule, specifically PWD Railway Crossing Junction. We realized that a luxurious bus conveying staff of Lagos State was involved in road traffic crash with a moving train. Immediately we activated our immediately we moved in with the first responders, and we are able to rescue 84 people, and the 84 people were taken to the Lagos State Teaching Hospital where they are receiving adequate treatment. Also, we recovered 2 bodies. The 2 bodies that were recovered were taken to the mortuary. However, our operation was swift, prompt, effective and efficient, and we concluded the rescue operation as fast as possible. We now move to the recovery phase of the operation. The recovery phase of the operation, we have our sophisticated equipment on the ground, the Charlie, we have our Buffalo on the ground, we have our Elephant on the ground, and we are working with all the primary responders. Very soon, we will complete the recovery phase.
At least 26 fishermen have been reportedly killed by suspected fighters of the Islamic State's West African province ISWAP in Mokdolo village, Borno State. According to Zagazola Makama, a publication focused on the Lake Chad region, the fishermen were ambushed, tortured and killed. Military sources told the publication that dozens of terrorists on motorcycles invaded the village on Wednesday and shot sporadically. At least 9 of the fishermen managed to flee, while 3 had wounds. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) on Thursday denied reports that the transfer of former director of ICT is one of the reasons there were glitches during the uploading of the February 25 national election results. INEC's Chief Press Secretary Rotimi Oyekomi explained that the glitches suffered by the IREV for some hours during the election could not have been affected by the in offline mode if there was network at the polling unit at the time of the activity. He said such report is an attempt to mislead the public. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has confirmed that it plans to end mandatory COVID-19 tests for travelers from China, joining other countries in eliminating the requirements. The CDC said it will continue to monitor cases in China and around the world and continue the genomic sequencing program at select airports that asks travelers to volunteer to help with early detection of new COVID variants. Amid allegations of bribery, the federal government has asked a London High Court to deliver judgment in its favor in a case against the Process and Industrial Development Company, P&ID. In the case, the federal government is seeking to overturn an arbitration award in favor of the P&ID, which was now accrued interest worth $11 billion. Presenting the plea, counsel to the federal government, Mark Howard, told the court that P&ID obtained its contract by telling repeated lies and paying bribes to officials, adding that its founders, Michael Quinn and Brendan Cahill, had a track record of bribery and were involved in corruption on an industrial scale. The latest Russian strikes on Ukraine in weeks killed at least 6 people and caused power outages across the war-battered nation on Thursday. The deadly Russian barrage struck the Lviv region in Ukraine's west and left second city Kyiv without power, water or heating. Kyiv Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said 2 people were injured and 15% of households were without power and 14% without heating following explosions in 2 areas of the Ukrainian capital. In sports, the Confederation of African Football Cup Group B match day 4 United of Nigeria and DC Motema Pimbe of Democratic Republic of Congo has been scheduled for Thursday at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium, Uyo. Rivers United confirmed the rescheduling of the match on their Twitter handle. Rivers United are currently second in Group B with 6 points from 3 matches and a point behind ASEC Mimosas of Cote d'Ivoire, while Motema Pembe are bottom of the standings on 2 points. Well, that's it on the newsroom at this time. Thank you for watching. I'm Simisola Adigo. Bye for now.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians are saying in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, and use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
Nominated as the chairman of Grantmanship by the college management in 2018. And what is Grantmanship? Grantmanship is sourcing for grants for the development of the college. And so our first outing, we want to create awareness among the staffs on what is Grantmanship. Therefore, invited 2 speakers. Professor Idachapa from Confident University and Dr. Dabataki from Ford Foundation. Along the line, he told us that they don't give grants, and that they have specific area, and that is area of art. For years, those in the art, in the School of Art, they have been dreaming of having something like this. But it is a matter of money. There's no money backing, nothing. So, but when he was now asking us, he talked to us about the policy, said, okay, we'll look into that. He said, okay, so if you are coming because they are interested in art, why don't we join it with an exhibition on sexual harassment? He said, that's all right. But he now told us that one will not fetch us much.
that, okay, the college, since inception of the college, 1947, we have Department of Art. Later, it metamorphoses into School of Art. Do we have a collection center for all the arts? We said no. Said, well, what of if you have a mini museum? I said, okay, that's a great idea. And now asked us to go and write proposal. So we left that place. Oh, we rub mind, we write, we send to him, did some correction, he sent it back to us. But along the line, we found out that we cannot do it alone because we are science-based. So we need somebody that is fast in art. And that was how Dr. Rimolade came in. And the three of us, we wrote the proposal, he helped us, we fine-tuned it, and that was how we get the grant of $100,000 for this project. But like I said, it is not this project alone. So 3 projects. This is the major one. Then we have the exhibition and we have the policy. So on the 25th of November this year, that is when we launched the 3.
Initially, we were just looking at a program where we address sexual harassment in the college. But by extension, we were able to get a museum out of the whole project. And the museum was launched on the 25th of November 2020.
What I could start with is that we were dealing with an abandoned space, and we had to deal with a lot of forces of the elements, which obviously we've won this far. The fight continues, and our museum is in the basement space. The basement space takes more than half of the lower part of the building, so it's a large, very large space. The purpose of the space in itself, aside from the display space that you already have been through, the museum actually has 3 components, where we have the display space for the works that we put up, and then we also have a research and repository section. This section is supposed to deal with future research. A lot of writing, of course, is going to start happening, and keeping a log of information. We've been here, the school has been here for such a long time, and it has so many relationships with so many artists in the city, and we want to begin to document them. So it becomes a space where anyone that is looking for information, primary information, not just things that you find online, things that these artists probably would keep or lose, like how you would go through Dali's foundation now and find notebooks and things. Those are the kind of things that the museum is going to gather for research purposes. We're starting to work towards having our conservatory and preservation section. It's a restoration section, which works perfectly for us because our faculty has already for several years been running programs on methods and materials, and under methods and materials there's a section for preservation and conservation of art. So it's not a full-fledged course here. It's not even a full-fledged course anywhere close to us. So hopefully it would be filling a huge gap, not just for our community, but for artists and art collectors around us. We hope it becomes a service point moving forward.
very happy about this because, like you have rightly said, that I've been here for a decade. Yeah. You see, we have Yusuf Gilo Gallery, and coming now to have Yaba Art Museum is very, very good. And we have to thank God for the people that sponsor the Ford Foundation for that, for this achievement. We thank God. And you see, this Yaba Art Museum is the first in all higher institutions in Nigeria, the first and in the higher institutions in Nigeria. As we all know, Yaba Art School is still the best. So we are coming again as the best to produce the largest art museum in any higher institution in this country.
For years, those in the school of art, they have been dreaming of having something like this. But it is a matter of money. There's no money backing, nothing. So, but when he was now asking us, he talked to us about the policy, said, okay, we will look into that. He said, okay, so if you are coming because they are interested in art, why don't we join it with an exhibition on sexual harassment? He said, that's all right. But he now told us that one will not fetch us much. That, okay, the college, since inception of the college, 1947, we have Department of Art. Later, it metamorphoses into School of Art. Do we have a collection center for all the arts? We said no. Said, well, what if you have a mini museum? Said, okay, that's a great idea. Now asked us to go and write proposal. So we left that place. So we rub mind, we write, we sent to him, did some correction, he sent it back to us. But along the line, we found out that we cannot do it alone because we are science-based. So we need somebody that is fast in art. And that was how Dr. Rimolade came in. The three of us, we wrote the proposal, he helped us to fine-tune it, and that was how we get the grant for this project. But like I said, it is not this project alone. So, 3 projects. This is the major one. Then we have the exhibition, and we have the policy. So on the 25th of November this year, that is when we launch.
In this part of the world, when it comes to art school, I think Yaba Art School has been on for over 70 years, and that's quite a record. And with that, which means that her seeds are all over the place globally, right? So when it comes to adding to the content of what we have in here, in fact, we're just starting, right? Because we have a lot of people, alumni outside there that are willing, to actually have donate to this particular, museum, right? And so, like I told you earlier on, constantly, we'll be having this, enriching the collection. So, because like I told you, what we have, some of, students' works, lecturers, as well as supporters out there, right? If there's anything we are aiming at, it's, because we know what is happening outside there, and this is what we are ready to give locally. Now, come to the artifacts that are out there. Why do we travel out there to see those works? It's because of the way they've been packaged, and that is where, because you have a lot of, information about those things, those works, where they are. And when you see some of the promotions about them, you want to see them, right? So if there's anything, there's a question you ask whether we are ready for it. I want to say here in Yaba College of Technology, we are even ready, right? In the sense that the kind of space we have, the kind of packaging we are ready to give works in our collection certainly it will compete favorably with what you have outside there. Because the fear, as far as I'm concerned, regarding our artifacts out there it's because, you know, people troop out there to look at them because of the way they've been presented, the way they've been packaged, right? And if such works are, you know, eventually repatriated, how are we sure that we want to, because what they've done, that has added value to them. Once they bring it out there, if we are not careful, right, knowing the Nigerian thing, we might decide that we might discover that those works will lose their value, right? So it's now up, the onus is on us to see what we can do to actually up the game regarding packaging, adding value to that. And I want to tell you, people want to, wherever they are, they want to come down here to see those works, because whether you like it or not, the venue most times makes the event, right? So it's about where do you have the work. You don't just repatriate them and just put them somewhere where nobody cares for them, right? So these are the things we are ready to do in Yaba Art Museum. And as you can see, we're just starting. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Essentially, the role of museum is so very important to every household, to community, to the city, the country, and the world at large. The museum is a point where you keep the treasures, the family treasures, the community treasures, the institutional treasure, and then the state treasure, national treasure, and also at the international level, these treasures are exchanged through collaboration so that other people on the side of the globe can see what is happening at the other side. But most importantly, the museum provide a historical documentation of the evolution of a people, how they reasoned some time ago, how they were able to advance technologically and the rest of it. It can be read from the artifacts and the works that are available.
Museum is not a profit-making institution, so to say. Museum documents history, documents culture, and because this one is situated within the academic environment, it's a place where students can learn from the past works of other students that have left the place over a period of time. Because if you look at the works here, they are from different departments and they carry different philosophies and ideas which the students could actually tap into. The museum gives what I call academic visibility to the school. It opens avenue for people to come in, to look at what we have done and also to collaborate with us and see how we have been able over the years to document the history of our environment.
museum in itself, aside from serving, the aesthetic purposes that people come to see, the hope is that it would serve not just for art lovers, because that's just one perspective of looking at art. Artists can be very, very interdisciplinary, and we're actually a technological institution, so we have different faculties and learners that can relate to the works, either through history, through its methodology, through the happenings at the times of the works that were created. There are different connection points that can come through education, of the art piece. It's not just the pretty picture.
The role of the museum is also to educate, apart from charting a history for people, is to educate you, and it's also going to give records of those objects that made history, and then by extension those who did them. And you'll find that now that you have this museum here, it's already attracting economic business environment, which is the characteristics of every museum anywhere in the whole world. There is going to be coffee shop somewhere, and there will be where people can have their snacks, where people can sit down, and there will be postcards made from some of the artifacts here, some souvenirs that people can pick, and most importantly, you'll find that when the culture of the museum is built, everybody around becomes aware, and then the import of keeping what we have is also being taught indirectly, so that everybody will know that things that you have, even your old man, your grandfather's agbada, for instance, dresses, their shoes, and that you say, oh, this is old school, you trash it. You don't throw anything away. These are things that can speak for that community. And that is what the museum, the role, the positioning here is going to play.
It's not just a place where works are gathered. Mind you, we're not just gathering works here for gathering's sake. Because what is very important is for the fact that for every work we have in this collection, certainly the data of each of those works, that is the artist, the year it is made, the materials, and what the content and materials of each of the works are well documented. So it's not just about having the works alone and for people to come around and see alone. No. This is going to be like more or less a research center, as you have, in other climes, such as Smithsonian and other institutions like that, whereby if you're interested in, researching about a particular artist, you can always come here and, you can have all that you can gather regarding the work, the artist, everything about the artist we are actually gathering here, we have here. So it's not just going to be a place where you just have the works alone. No. The artist, its art, then, which means that for historians, for researchers, it's a place to be, right? So because it's going to compete favorably with other institutions, museum around the world. That is our dream. And with the fact that we're also being supported by Ford Foundation, I think that is also a plus, because once we have such a foundation backing us, I think you want to know that, I want to believe that the whole thing, it's going to be a global, one, whereby everything, that has to do with art, especially staff and students, Yaba College technology, can be assessed.
This museum has a lot of importance to the environment, and all the students and everybody, we are all gearing up to embrace this. And at the national level, you find that one role museum plays is that immediately people arrive somewhere, they say, please, I would like to see this, I would like to see that. So it becomes a cultural destination. And I think that's another cultural tourism. there's a lot of potential that institution of a museum like this will generate once it kicks off fully.
About art is that it finds its way to insinuate itself into every single aspect of what you do, consciously or unconsciously. So it's very strange to say you want to cut art out of anything. Even when you want to write about cutting it out, you need the artist to help you do that. But then when you talk about sponsorship or support, I think the first thing I should say, this is a federal institution, and we've been so fortunate with the rector that we currently have in the institution. There's nothing you want to do, particularly in these times. If you don't have political will, nothing is going to happen. But then the rector has championed the cause with so much energy and supported it at every turn. So I think that is a positive thing because he works for the government.
Most of the world say that some of them, they are unknown. You see, you know how many years back, I've been lecturing over 20 years ago. And where we are sitting down, here we have Lara Ige. She is based in London, and we have a lot of lecturers here that are based in America that they sent in their works. Though for those that we cannot, we cannot pick up their names, we will send for them and say who their classmates. We will look for their classmates that can identify the owner of the works. So that's why we are still working. You see, it's still new. We are still working, asking who is the owner of this. You see, like my classmates here, I finished from this place, and my classmates here, I have their works. I could be able to say this is so person's work. You see, and a lot has happened concerning these works that we are presenting here because they are asking us. Some are still bringing their works, but as time goes on, I think we improve on all those things.
When you look at the Benin bronze, the Ife terracotta, the Igboku, and the Nok culture, you are able to now say, okay, at this point in time, you mean there were Nigerians that reasoned and did this work. And so you can use that to project a roadmap and development of a country. Unfortunately, we haven't seen this in Nigeria. The museum that was built during the colonial era is just there. At some point in time, people are even referring to it as a mortuary because in a typical African society, the museum, the family museum, for instance, on yearly basis is refreshed. And that is where you have the festivals. And when you have the festival, you find that the artifacts or the collection or the achievement for that particular year is deposited at the museum. And that is building history. And so when you look at all these artifacts, you are able to record the number of years. You are able to talk about dynasties. You are able to talk about at what time what happened. And that helps people to be able to come out with a growth pattern that will inform you to plan even for the future.
Talking about support, we're very grateful to Ford Foundation for the support so far, and we're looking to support from other areas. We already have a lot of support, hopefully coming from the Lagos State Council for Arts and Tourism. The commissioner was here and she was so impressed and has offered help. And this is a government establishment, so I don't think I would say we've had negative issues so far, although we've had challenges. I must emphasize that we are a work in progress. This is the start of a start, because we've had just a little over 2 years working on this, and anyone that knows about research knows that it's not enough time to gather anything. But we've done what we can so far, and about a little over 2,000 pieces. So what you see in the display is less than half or less than a quarter of what the collection actually holds. But the display actually holds works from our past, older works from our beginning, which I mean the school in itself. When I say the school, I mean Yaba College of Technology, has its own history starting all the way from 1933. Contrary to popular opinion of 1948. But then the School of Art in itself, its beginning started in 1952, and which means in 2 years' time, it's 70, making us the very oldest one around.
We are Nigerians, and problems, challenge clear to us, we know them, right? So, and also, once you know your challenges, your problems, certainly it's half solved, because it's to know how to go about it. And with that, I think as an art school, we know what we need, we know what we can do to preserve this. And certainly the need for us to also, take the right step in assessing this, in doing this. All these have been, have been planned out, and we're working on it. So we know that we have a job to do here, and first is the care for the artworks, because they must be maintained at a particular temperature, right? First, the museum, this particular space, we know what we enter to be able to secure it, regarding some of the elements that we battle with, to be able to have it the way it is today. And we are not resting on our hours. We know that we're still a lot of things to put in place to be able to keep it going, because like you rightly observe, yes, in Nigeria we know that we down to except air that is free to us, every other thing you just have to fight for it. So as an institution, as a museum, certainly all these are being worked out, so that we don't just have it to not seems as if we are just a flash in the pan. No, continuity, maintenance is very, very key, and we are seriously working at that. And I want to believe that very soon we're still going to invite you. We discover that because every now and then we want to keep on, improving on what we have. We don't have all yet, right? Because yes, we have this space. No, it's just about this space. There are lots that we still need to do regarding the work because, it's not just about this space, but about the content, right? So, which is very important. And you're talking about the content, you're talking about the preservation. These are the things. If we've been doing it for other, around the world, why can't we do it for ourselves here? So we are aware of these challenges and headlong we're battling.
How many museums we do have in Lagos? We have just the National Museum. And coming to have Yaba Art Museum, it's something else. You see, we have a lot of, this art museum now is like a tourism. Because some people will be coming in now, they'll be asking, where can I get museum? Where is the museum? But now, the National Theatre, they don't have anything again there. But having this one now as the art museum within, you see, it's in this center of Lagos. So it's something that is very, very nice. And because a lot of people, when we opened this place last month, in fact, people have been praising the college for this upbringing, and it's very, very good because most of people will be benefiting. You see, most of the works we are seeing here are products of our ex-students, and most of the products you are seeing here, we are the supervisors. Like you see the work I'm sitting behind is my work. This work you are seeing behind me is dedicated to the African children. And again, dedicated to the children that died during the bomb blast, Ikeja bomb blast. That's why I said I prefer to sit down where this work is. Because, it's for a purpose.
We're hoping to have so many events that are worked into the programs of the museum. Educational events, social events, screenings, excursions. We're hoping to be able to host researchers and different host curators. So it's supposed to become very active in the years coming, at least while I'm working on it. It's hope that it will become very active during that period.
The Osogbo Sacred Grove in Osogbo, Osun State, southwest Nigeria, is one of the last remnants of primary high forest in southern Nigeria. The site, a natural habitat that has been preserved for over 400 years, has served as both a pilgrim point as well as a tourist center for millions of people who visit the site annually to worship and celebrate the Osun goddess that is believed to inhabit the river that runs through the grove, giving the water the ability to heal and grant wishes of its believers.
Osun Grove happened to be a site that we all refer to as a living site. It's a living site just because activities that have been carried out over the years are still performed the way it used to be then. And secondly, it is a site where the worshippers do come to perform every 5th of the day, which means 5 days. They do come. For example, in churches, we go to churches during the week, but on Sunday, we question it to be, we go to church on Sunday. Likewise, the Muslim goes to mosque on Friday. So, despite the fact that the devotees do come interval, but they have a 5 day, which they call Ojose. Aside this, the uniqueness of this site is the name Osogbo was derived from this site. The appellation of the king was derived from this site.
From the entrance, one could feel the tranquility that comes with the well-preserved forest. A little further down comes another feeling of an elevated being's dwellings. This is the Osun Osogbo Sacred Grove, one of the last sacred forests in Nigeria, along the banks of the Osun River, just outside the city of Osogbo, Osun State, southwest Nigeria. In this forest of 75 hectares of undisturbed areas of land, no residential building is allowed, no killing of any kind of animal, no fishing, no hunting, or felling of trees.
Apart the fact that it is 75 hectares of the core zone and 47 hectares of the buffer zone. It's one of its kind in Sub-Saharan Africa and second UNESCO World Heritage Site in Nigeria. The kind of people or crowd that comes around, one will be marveled why this. But it is a festival and a river that people believes in. Because of the sacredness, you can't cut a tree, you can't fish. And if you are not a devotee, there are certain activities you don't do so that you don't blame yourself.
The one path that cuts right through the grove is lined on either sides with sanctuaries, illustrations of traditional Yoruba deities, and primary high forest. Adekunle Olatunji is the curator and site manager of the grove that has existed for over 4 centuries. On a tour of the sacred forest, Olatunji describes how the name Osogbo came about and what the grove stands for.
At Ipoleumu, some kilometers from here is in Iboku. There's an hunter. It's not just an hunter that going to the bush to kill rattle. It's a big hunter that hunts for elephants, bigger animals. In one of his sojourn, then from Ipoleumu looking for where they can get water, they now got to this site. On getting to this site, he was astounded. We were looking for almost a 40 kilometers from here, looking for water, still large water here. So he decided to go back to inform the king. My brother, we are hunting, I got to his place and I saw this river. So the hunter then was Oguntimeyin, while the king then at Ipoleumu is Laroye. So the two of them came down to the site, seeing what they wanted. So they decided to settle down at the bank of the river. So in one of their trying to rent the tent, a tree now fell into the river. And a voice came out of the river saying, Enyoma Dariwolo, you have broken my time, but 84 Kokwa. So everybody the two of them were so shocked. Who is this person? Simultaneously, the spirit now answered, Osogbo Pele, Osogbo Rora, Osogbo Pele, Osogbo. That was when they knew they are in Osogbo. Literally meaning Osogbo. So now, They now felt, what is the next thing to do? In Yoruba then, something strange happened. You do divination. During their divination, they wanted to know what's happening. So the Babalawo now said, Osun dwell here. You cannot stay with Osun. So they moved from the bank of the river, move up. They now built a hut. That hut today is what we call